For May 16th, 2023, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Sandu.
Here.
Councilmember Papineau.
Here.
Councilmember Farmer.
Here.
Councilmember Lozano.
Here.
Mayor Vandenberg.
Here. Next, we will have a silent prayer followed by the flag salute. If you will please join me. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well done, everyone. Next is a replay statement.
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed caption and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Friday, May 19th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, May 20th at 9 a.m. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/MetroCable14.
Thank you. Next is B, agenda approval, additions and/or deletions. Is there anything from the council? Seeing none, we'll move on to C, presentations. First is Child Care Provider Appreciation Day Proclamation. Aaron?
Hi, good evening. It's an honor to be here. My name is Erin Saberi, and I'm here on behalf of the Sacramento County Child Care Coalition. I also chair the Sacramento County Women's Commission, and we're a part of this coalition, and we really want to say thank you for your attention to child care and the children. And we're having these proclamations throughout the county, and we really appreciate you doing this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So whereas child care aware they did it with the...
Child Care Aware of America.
Okay. And other organizations nationwide are recognized child care providers on this day. And whereas child care providers and safe, nurturing place for enrichment and development of millions of children nationwide as a vital force in our economy. And whereas pandemic, eliminated by indispensable child care providers are for the well-being of the economic security of Galt's young children, families, and communities. And myself being a foster care parent, I think it's really awesome. So thank you so much. Child care programs, which are mostly small businesses, are run staffed predominantly by women who are still recovering from health and financial hardships stemming from the other pandemics, while they have continued to meet needs of families. And whereas Galt recognizes child care has been a lifeline for families, communities, and the economy as such, has provided much needed support provides to help sustain viability of child care. And whereas our future depends on our quality of early childhood experiences provided to young children today, and to support highly qualified child care represents and worthy communities in our children's future, commitments in our children's future. Now, therefore, let it be resolved, the City Council of Galt, California does hereby proclaim May 12th, my birthday, of 2023, a Child Care Provider Appreciation Day in the City of Galt, California, and urges all citizens to recognize child care providers for their important work. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
And we ask that you consider us a partner with you and as a resource also. If you need any resources.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You want any pictures taken or anything?
Sure, would love it.
Luckily, we have a professional photographer.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're not getting away without this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the point. Take off the sticky.
Yep. Sorry.
One why don't you two move over here? That way you don't have the podium blocking you. Well, we can get the, my pleasure.
C2, presentations, Public Works Week proclamation. Work Week proclamation, sorry.
Mayor Vandenberg, members of the Galt City Council, Lorenzo Hines, City Manager, and I have with me Mike Selling and John Griffin from the Public Works Department here in Galt. I would like to present to the both of you the National Public Works Week, May 21st through 27th, 2023, Connecting the World Through Public Works. So whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital, importance to its sustainability and resilient communities, and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Galt. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, including employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for constructing, operating, and maintaining our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public's interest, or the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Galt to have an understanding of the importance of public works in their respective communities. Whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, be it now resolved, the City of Galt hereby designates the week of May 21st through May 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week. Be it further resolved that all citizens recognize the substantial contributions our public works staff make every day to protect our health, safety, and quality of life. And a big thank you to Mike Selling and the team over at Galt Public Works for making this happen. So congratulations to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Lorenzo, and I just want to extend my thanks to the mayor and council, and I also want to express appreciation to the city clerk for helping make this possible. So it's my sincere privilege to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Public Works Department, and I could not be more proud of our staff. While I may just be a bit biased, I can honestly say that this city has the best team working for it, day in and day out. They are incredibly hardworking, resourceful, and dedicated to serving the city of Galt. So thank you again on their behalf for this recognition. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Mike. You guys are like city daycare.
So can we get another picture? And just to give everyone some perspective, the city has a fair amount of assets citywide. It's a big, probably 9-figure number. Most of those assets are controlled by these two gentlemen here. And most of those assets you can't see because they're either in a bridge, underwater, under the surface of the streets. But these are the gentlemen that make it work for us. So Matthew, do you guys want me in this, or you just want me? Okay.
Thank you. Well done. Next is public comment. Madam Clerk?
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address City Council on non-agenda items. The public comment section is for the City Council to receive comments. Except for brief responses to questions, no discussion or action may be taken on any item that is not listed on the agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Consistent with the City Council procedural guidelines, the mayor reserves the right to shorten the time limit for speakers to ensure the efficient and timely completion of all city business on the agenda. Public comments may also be submitted as noted via the options listed on the first page of the agenda. And we have one comment. Ken Lee.
Good evening, council members. I'm Ken Lee of the Galt Senior Apartments. We'd like to have some senior enhancement of our quality of life. I'm from 4th and D Street in the senior apartments. There's over 100 seniors there, and 30% are disabled. Our facilities have no landscaping to enjoy, like comfy apartments and New Hope apartments. It was brought up at one of the meetings that the railroad owns the property across the street from us on 4th and E. On 4th and E, there's a bike rack unit there on the railroad property, and would it be asking too much to replace it with a beneficial senior bench? Because that way we can watch our dogs and get a little bit of sunlight. Also, there's a problem with vehicles not allowing safe pedestrian passage on 4th and D. There's no noticeable crosswalk nor senior pedestrian crossing sign. It does not compete with some of the drivers driving down 4th Street. They know 4th and C Street intersections, but sometimes they're not obvious to D Street, the T intersection, so they're not aware of a pedestrian crossing being there. It's not just us tenants, but the senior customers crossing to the Railroad Grill from the 4th Street parking lot. So can we have a traffic intervention by the police department to study the excessive speeding? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's no more public comment. Thank you. We'll move on to E, reports by city council members on regional boards, commissions, and/or committees. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did attend the Sacramento Transportation meeting on May 11th, and we did, the staff introduced Sacramento Transportation budget year 2023 and 2024, and it will continue to the next meeting in June. And there's also, we discussed the Measure A funding, how they allocated to all the cities. That's Measure 8A. They have some 5-year program, traffic control and safety. That money we can use, traffic control and safety. All we know, the safety, we can almost use many other ways to in safety, and I think Mike Selden might agree with me. When they make a 5-year plan, all other city have a different mechanism. They have to file their report, and there's a big like in Sacramento County, Sacramento, El Grove, Rancho Cordova, but they put 2 cities, Alton and Galt, in a separate category how we can get that money. And there is ordinance provide a direct allocation. And I like to ask Mike Selling if he can give us a little bit brief how that plan 5-year, how that work. Is we anything we already apply for that, or I believe there is money around $9 million.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. There we go. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, as far as the Sacramento Transportation Authority for the Measure A house and sales tax measure that's for transportation, Galt and Isleton being the small size that we are, there is essentially an off-the-top set amount that's allocated to each of us, because if we were to do it by the formula that the others are divided up, I mean, it would be much less funding for us. So what the Vice Mayor is referring to is each city, each agency under the measure provides all the others provide a 5-year outlook plan as to how they, propose to spend their Measure A tax dollars. So, and again, fortunately for us, I guess in that respect, we're fortunate we don't have to prepare that plan because it is a small amount of money. But that's how that works. So.
All right, thank you, Mike. And did we anything apply this year, or what we kind of plan to be?
So for STA, there is a competitive piece of that, and we did not have any projects that qualified, if you will. But what you may hear a little bit later is we were fortunate, at least I don't want to be, probably a little premature, but we did apply for 3 grants through the SACOG funding round, and we were successful on 2 of those. So we're trying every place we can. So, but yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you and that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pompano.
On May 8th, last Monday, Councilmember Farmer and the city manager and I attended the CAST meeting. Numerous updates, a lot of positive stuff going on with their safety reviews. Good to see them doing that. Couple things of note, and I'm sure Mr. Farmer will have others, but the fentanyl awareness premier training group to put on these community trainings, unfortunately, are necessary. Good news is they're so busy that we finally got on the books, and they will be doing the first one at McCaffrey, September 12th. And it's not only for the middle school, it's for anybody in the community that wants to attend. So we'll be pushing that out. The group's called Arrive Alive, and they are, like I say, they're really the premier people. They do a really good job. And then secondly, the assistant principal, Tony Lara from Liberty Ranch, came forward with a serious concern about pedestrian and vehicle traffic. And the beautiful thing with that is he also came forward with what seemed pretty obvious but well thought out solution to the problem. And city manager promptly made arrangements for him to get together with the chief and Mike Selling to work on addressing that issue. So it's good to see that cooperative relationship. That's all the highlights for me.
Thank you, sir. Very, very informative. Councilman Farmer.
I too, as Councilman Papinel mentioned, I attended the CAST meeting. Always a good meeting. Always looking forward to seeing the discussion. And as Kevin mentioned, we had a lot of safety updates. Very happy to hear. I as well very happy to hear a lot of the safety measures that have been being implemented at the schools, and so very happy to see that. And also the issue with the Liberty Ranch High School with the traffic regarding pickups and people just kind of, it's kind of the Wild West over there with parking and stuff. And so hopefully Public Works and our PD and the school district can come together and figure out some sort of solution that can remedy that on their behalf, because I know our kids, safety is important. So we also talked about ongoing concerns about declining enrollment in the elementary district, and I think that was about it. I mean, it's always a good discussion, like I said, so I look forward to the next one. I think that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Lozano.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. We have a SACOG board meeting this Thursday, and I'll report out on that at our next meeting, the first meeting in June. To piggyback on what Director Selling was talking about, we, in this meeting, the board is going to be voting on the staff recommendations for funding of this round of funding. And so it looks like, well, it is, that staff is recommending about $3 million in grant funding for us. So when hopefully, and again, not to do anything and jinx ourselves, but it appears that will be coming, and that will help tremendously, as you all probably read in the Senate Bill 1 annual project list.
some of that information in there, which is on our consent calendar. So appreciate the work that staff's done on that with the SACOG staff to really hone in on projects and things that would benefit our community and bring some of that those tax dollars we spend outside that the state and federal government grab, funnel them back into our community. So that was awesome. And then just another update on SACOG. I'll be joining a contingent of SACOG board members and staff to meet with Senator Nilo at his office tomorrow on SACOG priorities and some other transportation and housing issues. What will come up is our Green Means Go program, but also sometimes the state has some unrealistic expectations of local jurisdictions, including housing elements and greenhouse gas emission reduction and things like that. And so that'll be part of what we talk about. And that is all I have.
Very good. Thank you, sir. I attended the Cosumnes Groundwater Authority meeting. We focused on the importance of collecting data and telemetry. And now that we have our feet under us, so to speak, we're looking to make a more stable understanding in aspects of definitions moving forward. And other than that, there's nothing really to report. So that we move to information consent calendar is recommended that items 1 through 5 be acted on simultaneously unless separate discussion and/or action is required by the council members. But first, I'd like to ask if there's any public comment on this item.
No public comment.
Thank you. Item 1, receive file warrants for period ending May 4th, 2023. 2, minutes of regular meeting of May 2nd, 2023. 3, treasury report for a period ending April 20th, 2023. 4, industrial water treatment plant production well conversion project, CHIP 519D engineering service contract award, CEQA initiate study mitigation negative declaration. And 5, approve Senate Bill 1 annual project list for fiscal year 2023 through 2024. Do I have a motion? So moved by Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Lozano. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Sandu.
Aye.
Councilmember Papineau.
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lozano.
Aye.
Mayor Vandenberg.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Now to scheduled matters of the public hearing. In other words, the meat and potatoes. Item G1, subject public, we're going to open the public hearing for the midterm fiscal year 2023-24 midterm budget adjustments, approval of the fiscal year for 2023-24 California constitutional appropriations limits, the fiscal year 2023-24 fee schedule, and the capital improvement plan for fiscal year 22-23 through 26-27. Agenda report by Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to first start with just maybe a general statement to the public. I know the members are already aware of this. But for the public, I wanted to kind of put what our conversation that we're going to have tonight in context. The city adopted a 2-year budget in June of 2022. So that budget takes us not only for the year prior, but it also takes us from the next year, 23-24. What we do here in the midterm budget is we take a look at city operations and we take a look at what's happened in the past year. We come up with issues or problems, areas where we think the city could function more efficiently. It also gives us the opportunity to look ahead and try to anticipate issues as well and try to address those with recommendations for the mid-year budget. So what we're essentially doing is taking the second year of the 2-year budget, coming to council with additional options of things that can be added to the second year of the budget to, again, make things more efficient, to address things that we see coming down the road. This proposal that you're about to see contains all of those options, and that's all they are, folks, is options. And so council will deliberate, discuss. Some of these things will make it, some of these things may not. From a staff perspective, we believe they're all needed. But we understand during the deliberative process, everything is up for discussion. The other component of this proposal that's in front of you is council direction regarding this expenditure of Measure Q, which we received back on April the 18th in a council meeting there where we proposed, or we basically put up a Measure Q expenditure plan. We also discussed long-term financing for some of our facilities. And what we came away from was that meeting, was roughly $2.9 million in expenditures that council was agreeable to. And those expenditures are mainly focused at operations expenditures, expenditures for personnel, but those operations and those expenditures for personnel drive the mowing once a week. They drive the increased pruning. They drive the increased maintenance on our trails and medians. So it's hard to do all of those things unless we have the personnel in place. And so we're basically putting everything in place so we can provide that higher level of maintenance that we promised the public with the passage of Measure Q. So, Mr. Mayor, if you would indulge me, I'm going to read into the record some of the two emails that I sent to council today to make sure that this information is out there and everyone is aware of it. And we'll be happy to post these online with the agenda, but I wanted to just make sure everyone hears this. It's basically, here's the first of two emails. We are projecting $4.2 million in Measure Q revenues for fiscal year 23-24. The midterm budget includes $2.9 million Measure Q expenditures across the funds that are affected. There will also, so essentially there will be $1.3 million in Measure Q remaining, at least that's our estimate, remaining at the end of FY 23-24. And when I say that's our estimate, that $4.2 million could be higher, which means that $1.3 million could end up higher as well. The landscaping and lighting districts, you'll find this information on page 8 of 13 on in the staff report. The salary and benefit increases in the landscape and lighting and landscape funds, and that's Fund 32, 33, and 37, are related to the weekly landscape maintenance presented with the Measure Q expenditure plan back on April the 18th. The midterm adjustments on page 11 of 13, Table 1 proposed revenue changes. So the general fund revenue increase listed on Table 1, which is $4,675,258, that includes Measure Q revenue of $4.220. In the electeds area, to clarify, the increase in the electeds budget is attributed to the increase in the utilization of health coverage by the members. Police, page 3 of 13. The proposed reclassification of a dispatcher will not result in that position moving to another bargaining unit. It will remain in the dispatcher's bargaining unit. With non-departmental, which is actually page 4 of 13, there was an increase in our insurance premium of there's a projected increase of our insurance premium by $356,000. Our insurance through NCCSIF, which is comprised of 22 governmental agencies, covers a variety of insurance policies, including property insurance, vehicle and construction insurance, drone insurance, cyber insurance, and various other insurances. So in case anyone wants to know what the sort of the portfolio of insurance coverage by the city, that's sort of a general summary. But again, we have a long list here, and we'll post that online. Parks and Recreation budget, the Galt market revenue estimate increased from 2.272 or 2.273 million to 2.550 million, or 12%. So that's good news that we're actually projecting the market revenue to be up over 10% at 12.2%. And you'll find that starting on page 5. The Fund 38, page 8 of 13, Fund 48, page 9 of 13, and Fund 70, page 10 of 13, are written with brackets around the numbers. So I asked the public to, we'll probably revise the staff report if council's okay with it, but we need to please ignore the utilization of brackets in the narratives. The numbers should be interpreted as positives unless otherwise indicated. And I apologize for that confusion. So that's the first email that was sent, and again, we'll get that out online. The second email that was sent also starts off with the Parks and Recreation budget. There was on page 5 of 13, in the Parks and Recreation expenditures, there is mention of a figure of $534,872. And these dollars represent the operations and maintenance increases for the implementation of Measure Q. We initially presented these items at the April 18th meeting, and they totaled $511,000. We had some revised estimates, and that number increased to $534,872. Council members, the hard copy of the email that I passed out cut off the table, and so it only shows the first 2 columns or the first 3 columns of the table. There are 2 columns that were cut off, and that third column actually represents the variance that we're talking about. So when I have a break here or when Director Boring starts the presentation, I will slip away and reprint these so you'll all have them. And then with non-departmental, there is an increase, a requested increase of $285,000, and 280 of that is for renovations at the PD, and that's carpet and the electronic door locking system. And there's an additional $5,000 for already budgeted costs for the Public Works building, building maintenance improvements. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Director Boring and the staff to talk with you about these options that we're putting before you. And if there are any questions, remember, this is a conversation and a presentation, so feel free to ask questions as we go along. Thank you,
for those
Mr. Mayor.
clarifications.
And Director Boring, I turn it to you.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Before we begin, I wanted to go over the budget changes. I'd like to thank all of our different departments throughout the city. Anytime we do the budget update, it's a big process, and we pester all of them, and they usually put up with us nicely. And I'd also like to recognize our Revenue and Budget Manager, Carlos Solario, and our Budget Analyst, Lana Nielsen. They facilitate and handle all the process. And I was very excited they were able to get the payroll section of our budget software online for this budget cycle, so we're able to utilize the full service. And I'd like to point out there's also a change in the fee schedule that's included in the staff report. The CDD impact fees related to traffic circulation had the incorrect CPI, so the amounts in the original staff report were overstated. So we'll put the revised amounts online. And then if you have any questions before we start?
Was that overstated amount a lot?
I think it was a few $100s per item.
Okay.
So there were a couple different, because it depends on the type of business and there are different factors, but each one was overstated by a couple $100s.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my notes about the colors at the bottom won't work because of our projectors don't show them, but the midterm adjustments at the bottom are a total of all the columns above. And I just want to state that when we list these, so these are general fund revenues, so we're only listing the revenue categories that have changes. So if we had revenues that didn't change from the original budget, they won't be listed on this worksheet. And the total general fund revenue at the bottom is the total revenue for the entire fund, So if you were to add everything above, it wouldn't total that because that includes the items that aren't shown on the schedule. And then on the percent variance, you'll notice some of them don't have a percent listed, and that's because the original budget was 0, so we couldn't calculate that. And so as we get through this, as the city manager stated in the email that he read, the total recommended increase is $4.7 million, and that includes the $4.2 million for Measure Q. And the other notable increases, we have roughly $122,000 for a revised estimate for our sales tax, and $100,000 for our vehicle in lieu as part of our property tax we receive. Overall, our general fund revenues are projected to increase 25.69% for a revised total of $22.9 million.
Mr. Boring, sorry, you said I could ask questions as we go along. I don't know if maybe I'm just reading it wrong or just can you clarify? On that page there, it says the total general fund revenues variance is 25.69, and the midterm adjustments are 41.78. But on page 3 of the handout that we got, where it has the summary, the 25.69 is the same, but it says 32.74 as the expenditures versus 41. Why is that different? So this is page 3 of the handout. It's just a real simple, says city general fund summary, and it just has the variance of the revenues and then the variance of expenditures, and it has the 2 percentages there on this page right here.
Oh,
There's just something that's included in that 41 that's not on the, maybe something outside of general fund, but then the first page is general fund, right? Yeah. So, curious. You see the
we'll take a
30,
look
you
at
see
that.
the, you see the 37.19? That's the variance in the,
yeah, the 3179 is the variance between the adjustment based on the original budget for just those items.
right.
Whereas the 32.74 is the increase for general fund overall.
Right.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make it clear, we're talking about revenues in the prior slide, and we're talking about expenditures here, correct? I just want to make sure we're clear. Okay.
Good, thanks.
Okay, and then for our general fund expenditures, the primary increase driving this is our transfers out, and that increased roughly 2.4 million. And those are increases to Parks and Recreation and the Lighting and Landscape District funds that Measure Q is funding. The city manager pointed out the increase in city council for benefit changes. There are minor decreases in the city clerk and treasurer. The administration budget's going up 463,000. And I wanted to point out that the administration is made up of the city manager, HR, economic development, and IT. And that includes one new position for economic development. That's 115,000, and a new position in HR that's 92,000.
So that's an important clarification. This slide that you're on right now, or the slides as you're going through them, is including everything that we have yet to approve. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. In the midterm budget, that's the recommended budget for the staff report.
Right.
So
okay.
the adopted budget, it was what was approved in June of 2022.
Correct.
So I just want to, and forgive me if I'm being too clerical here. You've got a column in the staff report that says MT projection, and that's just short for midterm projection. And as the mayor pointed out, these are recommendations, and that's all they are at this point.
Yeah, can we go real back? When you said transfers out, could you repeat what you said?
Yeah, so the increase, those are transfers from the general fund to Fund 6 and the lighting and landscape districts, which are Funds 32, 33, and 37.
Right.
And those are to cover the increases for the Measure Q items that we'll go over later.
Okay,
So
but that's not all Measure Q, right? That's general fund for Parks and Rec and Measure Q for lighting and landscaping, correct?
But there's additional general or Measure Q for that's going to Parks and Rec to fund the positions.
Right, good
So
clarification.
these are only the increases. So there was an existing,
The roughly 1.5, though, is still general fund as previous years.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's 1.5, but whatever the original
Roughly.
transfer from general fund to parks is
Yep.
still general fund and not included in Measure Q.
Perfect.
Okay, and then moving on to finance, the recommended midterm budget is 272,000 higher, and that includes increases in salary and wages from the MOUs and the salary schedules, and 60,000 increase in our operations and maintenance budget to match what we have in fiscal year '23. We added funding for a new timesheet software, pension forecasting, our audit contract, and other software we use. For non-departmental increase, it was roughly 703,000. Included minor increases in professional services, and the city manager covered the increases in our insurance costs for our JPA and the capital projects. Moving on to special events, there's 117,000 recommended increase, and that's for part-time wages to assist with our special events like the Saturday Market. Public Works has an $873,000 increase, and in admin engineering, there's $341,000 and $93,000 salary and wages from negotiations and approved salary schedules, an increase in $225,000 for reimbursable services, so that will have an offsetting revenue to correspond with that. In central shop, there's a minor $16,000 increase. In building maintenance, there's a $480,000 increase. That's primarily driven by $372,000 for additional salary and benefits. And that includes on table 3, there's a footnote at the bottom for additional part-time. And those were positions that were just omitted when we did the original budget. So that's not adding new positions, that's just funding what the current staff we have. And there's also $81,000 in operations and maintenance for the facility maintenance, which includes $20,000 for equipment and an additional $61,000 for professional services for janitorial contract. And do you have any questions on the other expenditure increases?
So Matt, I'm going to kind of jump in here. So the department heads are here to explain each one of these options to you. So if it's okay with you all, I'd like our economic development manager, Amy Mendez, and perhaps, and Jackie Garcia to come up and talk about the changes to the administrative division budget, the addition of the new position for the economic development manager, and Stephanie Van Stein can talk about the position that we're proposing for HR. So if you all could just brief the council on those positions and why we believe those are needed. And Amy, I guess we'll start with you. Jackie, why don't you come on up? And Jackie, come on up. Armando will happily move out of his seat for you. And then Stephanie can sit next to Matt, between Matt and Mike.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Amy Mendez, Economic Development Manager. And as Lorenzo had mentioned earlier, Jackie and I have talked about this briefly. This was actually something that I had brought up to Lorenzo when we were talking about mid-year budget. And one of the things that has come to light over the last several months is when I took over for public information officer duties, was really during COVID. That's when this was really important from a community standpoint of getting information out to the community on all the new public health orders and things that were coming through the governor's office and from the county to get information out to the businesses. And that morphed into social media and community engagement type activities. Just recently, within the last several months, when we initially started this, economic development was very slow. There wasn't a lot happening during COVID with economic development. Businesses weren't really expanding. A lot of businesses were closed. And so within the last 6 months, economic development has really started to pick up. And I know that this council is very concerned about transparency and getting information out to the public, and as well as economic development. And I shared with the city manager that I feel like I am doing a mediocre job at both of them, because one of them always is getting put on the back burner. And I know that there's been a big focus as of late with special events, and a lot goes into the social media side of it and putting information out to the community. Designing graphics is exhausting. It takes a lot of time. And so, one of the ideas that we had in our discussions during budget was potentially bringing on somebody in the capacity to assist with the public information side of things, getting information out to the public, engaging with the community, really staying on top of what's happening with social media. Jackie does a lot with the event side of things, marketing for the Galt Market and all of the special events. We tag team with PD as well. They don't want to give up their side of public information. They have their own kind of specialty in that realm. But with Jackie and I both kind of working on the same thing as it relates to social media and getting information out to the public and advertising, stuff that's in the agenda and recapping, things that have gone on at City Council. There just isn't enough time in my day in order to really effectively push information out. And so when I was talking to Jackie, it was an idea of maybe this person could come on board and really help us move that forward, because there is a lot more that could be done on the public information and outreach side and social media. Now, this is obviously a choice of council in terms of kind of what your focus is and what's important, but my job in economic development really is to work on job creation and bringing businesses to town, working with our existing businesses, and business retention has really fallen to the wayside, which is something I really would love the chamber to start focusing on with me. And so in talking to Jackie with regard to what this person would be doing, it really would be social media, content creation, growing our followers and engaging our community and our residents, responding to comments on social media. Those are things that really kind of fall through the cracks. Creation and distribution of the newsletter every other week. That's really time consuming, and it does take a lot of time in collecting the information from all of the departments, drafting the articles in order to stay on top of that. Website development. We launched a new website, and a lot of links are broken kind of all over the place. As our departments work on pages, we start to see things that really are unfortunate, and I think the public is starting to see that. But it's something that takes a lot of time and effort to kind of stay on top of. We don't have a web developer. We don't have a website manager. That sort of lands on me. IT, that's not something that they deal with. Expansion of Gov Delivery. We have a new platform that we're going to be launching that allows for SMS text messaging. There's a lot more capability for other departments to send out direct email messages, and it's just taking a lot of time to kind of get that launched and getting the departments engaged. The other is graphics and market creation, and then working in conjunction with Jackie and the Galt Market and special events to really try and capitalize on the market here locally, but also, we have the ability to pull a lot of information through our Placer AI data on traffic that's coming to the market, and I think that we can do a lot more powerful things with reaching out to Galt Market customers and growing that base as well as our special events. So Jackie's here if you have any questions. I obviously am happy to answer any questions you might have as it relates to this position.
Yeah, if I may, I have a question. So Amy, thank you for the thorough description of the position. So if I'm hearing you correctly, this person would most likely need to be qualified, not just knowing how to operate social media, but doing a certain amount of graphic design, familiar with all the cool apps that are out there that do that kind of thing. And there's a lot of them. I mean, I tune my own social media I can barely keep up, but also some web design. Obviously, you're right about the website. I find the website, sometimes the site is actually very cumbersome to navigate. Other parts are okay, but I do think there's some tweaking that needs to be done. So, if my understanding correctly, that you envision this position to be someone who is familiar with web design and could work on the site as well as all the other things that you're mentioning. Is that correct?
Technical side, the graphics side as well. Somebody has to be really good with grammar. Writing is really important as part of this position. And so Stephanie and I had a conversation about the level that we would be looking for, and we talked about potentially somebody part-time. My concern is that we're not going to be able to attract somebody on a part-time basis to have that skill set, because there is kind of a lot that's incorporated as part
That
of
was my next question, was wading into a new position that I would not argue that the position would be important. I think it's very important what you guys are doing. I think social media, I think over the last, all the way from going from the police department to the city, just overall talking about the city's engagement with social media since I've been in office has been a huge improvement. And I think it's important because people, that's where the people are. You got to go to where the people are. They're clearly not coming to council meetings, so to speak, as much. But again, looking at a part-time position, I was going to ask, do you think, but I think the skill set you're looking for, you're concerned with having somebody who's going to want to just work part-time doing that sort of thing, right?
I suppose we could always go out for a part-time recruitment to see what kind of talent we're able to bring in. The concern really comes back to somebody who comes here to get some experience and then leaves. And then you go through this whole training process again. And there's a lot. It's pretty technical. From the website, social media is always changing. I just had a huge webinar with Facebook the other day, and all these new changes that are coming down the pipeline, and Instagram and Reels and TikTok, and there's all these other avenues that we really could explore. And PD does a great job, on their limited staff. They get really creative. They've got some folks who really love the video editing side. And so I think this would have to really be somebody who's multifaceted in wanting to grow that and to really be engaged in this community.
I also think about the part-time, when we were looking at those positions for Parks and Rec, how we had some were part-time and the difference was like $5,000 or $6,000 overall. And we're like, well, it's only $5,000 for, part-time versus full. Maybe it's just worth it to, so I don't know. But thank you for the questions. I personally think, I think the position would be important, not only because marketing is important, really. And it's not only informational, but it's marketing, right? What Jackie does for the Saturday market and all the stuff you guys do is super cool. What the PD does to keep that community engagement between their officers and the community is very important. I like what they're doing. So I think we keep a good thing going. So I would probably support those particular positions. So thank you for that, Amy.
Any other questions regarding this position?
Not really a question, but a comment. I appreciate you both kind of putting your heads together and analyzing the problem. And for Amy Mendez, for that position, I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's nothing more important than being out front and soliciting, recruiting the type of business that we want to bring to town before we get behind the curve and we're stuck with maybe something that we don't want. So I certainly support somebody taking all that off your plate and allowing you to be out there as much as we need. So thank you.
Any other questions from council?
I just have a comment as well. I like the idea of cross-pollinating, right? It's going to come out of economic development as well as, Parks and Rec, as well as the rest of the city manager's office. So I like the idea that we're using a position for multiple departments that will be effective. And in this particular position, I think that's important. But as we look further down the road, when those opportunities come, I think that's the way to move. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Amy Mendez and Jackie Garcia. You explain why you need that position. I do understand the media in these days very important, especially Amy Mendez, her job is economic development, and that's also very important. So she gives some time to the media. If that position will come up, I will support that, but same thing, I will piggyback with the council member Farmer. We have the budget too. the budget is very important for us, especially me. We can't, if there is that position, maybe make as a part-time, I don't know, take it out, but one way or the other, I will support that position. Budget is also very important. There is money out there, this is public money, and we want to make sure whatever I approve it, it will be definitely, we will need that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Could everyone please check their phones and make sure they're on silent? Thank you. So I wasn't sure how this, well, I shouldn't say it that way. This is going a little different than I anticipated, I guess. Do you have a plan to go through another item and explain that?
I wanted to give the staff an opportunity to give you some more detail behind this narrative that we see between pages 2 to 13 all the way through, especially where there's significant additions regarding particularly positions. And I wanted you to hear from the subject matter experts why these things are being proposed and allow you to have those conversations. And at least we get that conversation moving and you can start thinking about that during the deliberative process. So that's the method to my madness, if that works for you.
Let's keep going. I like it.
All right. So next up is Stephanie Van Stein, and a lot of what Stephanie does is not as visible as what you saw with Amy and her work. However, let's just say her work is critical to our livelihoods here at the city. And I'll let her talk about the proposal for a new technician.
Good evening, council. So the position that I'm requesting is another HR technician. Today, we're a department of 3 people. It's myself. I have 1 HR analyst. My analyst primarily does all the recruitments from A to Z for all the positions at the city. And then I have 1 HR technician. In that HR technician job description, it does include recruitment responsibilities. However, due to the high workload at that desk, I can't even have her do recruitments right now. She's doing all of the new hire orientations, paperwork, processing all of the status changes throughout the city. She does some scheduling for fingerprints and some of the pre-employment, but she does not have the capability of doing the recruitments. So the primary driver for asking for another position is the recruitments that we see upcoming. I think it was like 1 or 2 meetings ago, 14 parks and landscaping positions were approved, so we're anticipating a lot of recruitment for that. So far in 2023, we're only in May, and we've opened up 24 requisitions for positions. Last year in 2022, we did 28 requisitions. So we're already exceeding what we've historically done for recruitment. You know, so it's really just a capacity issue and looking at trying to maintain our service levels. So.
And the other thing that I wanted to add, and Stephanie, feel free to elaborate, we have how many full-time positions? 143,
about
47?
like 148.
Okay, so there's
full-time.
148 positions, and then we've got another 28 or so that are currently 28 or so part-time?
Yeah, well, we have quite a bit of part-time, actually.
Yes.
Between part-time and temporary at Parks and Rec.
So what are we talking, another 50?
I don't know, 50 easily,
Okay.
right. 220 total.
So 220 folks total payroll. So those individuals are, let's just say, their livelihoods, their payroll status, their health benefits, all of the things that Stephanie does for them, it all rolls through 3 individuals. And as we grow as a city, HR has to grow as well. And so the last thing that I want to see is having something in HR slip through the cracks, because that's going to affect someone's livelihood pretty seriously. So, although Stephanie's doing a very good job, I thought that at least we bring this option before council to see if we can bring in another technician to help. As we mentioned, we've got Measure Q, and this position is not funded with Measure Q, but HR is going to be impacted with Measure Q. all the hiring.
Just
Yes,
real
sir.
quick, are any of the four, well, technically five positions that you're have or are about to discuss funded from Measure Q?
No, just the ones down below.
Just want to clarify.
Yes, sir. So, any questions for Stephanie?
Yeah, not necessarily just a question for Stephanie, just an observation. I just wanted to, and I was going to lead off when we teed up the conversation with this comment, but you know what I tend to see a lot, and I think this goes for a lot of things that we see over when a lot of things are put in front of this council for approval. What I get sometimes discouraged is when I feel like sometimes things are given to us in a silo, and I always say that is. We're saying, well, this is what we'd like to approve, and this is the cost. And then later on, it comes and say, well, because we have that, now we have to have more equipment to do that work. Or in case I was just looking at the insurance adjustment of $356,000, one of the items was, you know, there's some stuff about drones and some other things. So it's like, you know, if I go out and buy a car, I don't just look at the cost of the car. I look, well, is my insurance going to be more? What are my fuel costs going to change? And I feel like sometimes that we're given information up here and not giving the down the road kind of repercussions. So we approved, you know, we talked and approved roughly, you know, a great amount of positions with Parks and Rec, and we deliberated about that. We were like, do we need this, whatever? And then now here we are like, well, payroll is going to be more and we got more people. So now we're going to have more HR people. And so it's frustrating because I feel like it's, you know, then we're kind of forced up against a wall to say, well, you're right. You know, there's more workload for HR, there's more workload for, you know, and it goes for all the departments, really. And so I just would like to just say this out loud, that when things are brought to us, that I would like that the total overall, I mean, when we're presented with salaries and then we're saying, here's the long-term pension, those things are usually presented. So we look at the long-term about hiring this person, what the overall costs are going to be. But there's always these many hidden costs that are not mentioned to us that tend to be behind the scenes stuff, and they always seem to come after we make decisions. So I just wanted to point that out, that I personally would like to see more foresight and more thought go into stuff about, hey, this is how this could, you know, domino into something else. So I just wanted to state that. So thank you very much. But no particular question, so to speak, for the position in HR, though.
Anybody else?
Yeah, one quick question. Sorry I didn't ask this in our meeting yesterday. So HR does recruiting for all the other departments. Do any of the other departments' funds transfer in to cover that cost, or are we not that far yet?
Yeah, let's.
HR is part of the cost plan, so their costs get distributed to other funds and departments based on, I think the primary driver is the FTE count.
Okay.
We don't have like a per recruitment charge, but there's, you know, all of HR is allocated throughout the city.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, sir.
The one thing that wasn't mentioned, but discussions I've had in recent months with HR is the workman's comp piece and the heavy lift that it takes when an injured, this is speaking from the police department, by the way, when you have an injured officer and you're trying to work them through the system. Obviously, we know about one officer that's been a long-term disability, but I have two others as an example now. There's been some frustrations with our workman's comp carrier that it sounds like it's being addressed in July. However, there's a significant amount of work that HR, who's the advocate for our employees, is working through that group to get them physical therapy or treatments and things like that. The police department's trying to support in that process, but it gets dicey because you start talking about people's health stuff and HIPAA things. It's not my world, that's HR's world. And so I just want to submit that I've seen an increase in, irrespective of whatever else is policy decisions have been made, there's been a lot more work and heavier lift from the city in the workman's comp world addressing our employees. So I thought I would be remiss if I didn't mention that because we've had long discussions about that. So I just offer that as my impact.
Thank you, Sue. Mr. Lozano?
He kind of stole a little bit of the thunder, but I was going to mention risk management and workers' comp end, and let's not forget, you know, sometimes internal investigations have to be generated from a human resource perspective. So it's not always, and I appreciate the recruitment efforts and focusing on that, but I think that that we need to also remember that there's all these other functions that happen that don't necessarily happen in other agencies out of one department. So,
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to piggyback with what Chief said, the workman comp, even with the public sector, private sector, they usually run by loss run report, how many losses you have in last years or previously. So I'm certainly agree with that, that workman comp is going to increase. Thank you.
Are those positions hourly or salary?
The HR technician is hourly. Yeah, the analyst is exempt, so that's salaried.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to follow up with my comment earlier that, I think like with your instance, Stephanie, to be honest, that's something that is probably not your job to foresee that. It's kind of hard to say, oh, wow, didn't realize the workload that, or proving that's not going to cross, for use, Rich's comment, cross-pollinate, now it's going to go across, where now it's a workload on you. But I do think, sometimes, like we had an IT proposal recently, and I'm now wondering, I'm reading here about cyber insurances and the costs that are part of that $356,000 increase. Well, I'm wondering, was the cyber insurance and was that part of that overall IT increase? So that's the kind of thing where I'm like, I'd like to know, VATCon truck, $763,000. So when the VATCon truck was presented, and I'm not saying this is the case, but, if they're saying, well, it's $800,000 for a new VAC truck, does that include we're all going to see a bump and our insurance is going to be a little more because we have a new truck and it's valued at more? Is that stuff factored into the costs that are presented to us? And those are the points that I make, things that are very foreseeable, not so much maybe things that we can't foresee, but just trying to imagine how it affects. So I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
And then I omitted to talk about community development. So they had a $153,000 increase, and that was mostly related to the salary negotiations. And PD had the $573,000 increase.
Why don't we let the chief discuss the PD and those increases?
All right.
And that's the next item?
Yes, right under finance. Matt, I think you did an excellent job doing the finance area. I don't think there's anything you need to add there. I think you're good. So we'll go to the chief next and talk about the police.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the estimates that we've included in here, there's two big moving pieces. That was the animal control contract you approved, which is the $80,000 increase. We expect that. There was a snafu at the county on the agenda item, so that's going next week. I think it's the 23rd, but we're set for our June 1st transition. So that's included. The flock agreement that has money in it for a multi-year contract is reimbursable through our stolen vehicle fund. Also, that shows an expense. It should be captured with revenue on the back end. So I just wanted to point that out. I did ask to upgrade my lead dispatcher. Currently, what I have is a records/dispatch supervisor who has a span of control of 11 full-time employees on a 24-hour/7 basis. And it's too much for one individual to manage when you're running the 8 to 5 program, basically, in the record side, and then having the 24/7 operation on dispatch. And so the proposal here is to take that lead dispatcher that's currently in there and give them the supervisory responsibility for the cost of $12,000 a year. So there will be two positions, two record/dispatch supervisors in the organization. Each one will work in their domain, but they'll be cross-pollinated. So if I have a 2 or a 3 week vacancy for whatever, a sickness, vacation or something, I have the other person can backfill. That's been an issue. We have extensive PRA work that goes on now, specifically related to arrests that are made in the public defender's office. An example of that now is if an arrest is made and we search a vehicle and we arrest the person, they're now asking for that officer's 5 prior cases of that same conduct to see if there's any bias-based policing that's occurring. So that's one example of the ever-evolving issues, I guess I'll use that word, and so that is impacted my record side, who's doing an incredible amount of work, and it's causing an issue on my dispatch side. So my management team and I came up with that solution. So that is actually a request I have for that. And then these 2 additional dispatcher positions, actually, prior to my time and actually prior to the city manager's time, there were a bunch of positions that were frozen. And in position control, somehow one of those positions on my general fund side disappeared. And I hadn't been looking for it because I wasn't fully staffed. And so but this year we're looking at fully filling the position, and I started asking questions about where it went. And so this is representative of unfreezing, and Matt will help me with the technical financial terms, but the legislative unfreezing of the one position and fixing the position control issue that occurred under a different finance administration. Is that an accurate statement without speaking for finance? Okay. So it's really what I thought I had all along, and he had mentioned early on, hey, we launched a position control, and I caught that in that new program that I hadn't seen because it was all rolled up in a big number. And so then I recognized that that's where that position went missing. So that's that increase that's being requested just to get my position control where I should be, which are 6 general fund dispatcher positions. Currently only have 5. And then there is an increase in overtime. That's a direct impact to the fact that we are, I'm happy to report, down to 4 openings left on the police officer side. But I have 2 people in the academy, and I mentioned earlier 3 people on long-term disability. So I have functional vacancies because of these injuries. And then the remainder of these 4 positions that I'm going to have, and I don't want to be overzealous about this statement, but I'm confident I will get those all filled in the fall. The problem is they're funded positions, and they're working, but they're not functional on their own for a period of time, like the ones in the academy. So what that does is, in past years, I had all these vacancies, and I'm always turning money back to the general fund year after year. This year, that's not going to happen. So the request for the increase in overtime in the general fund is reflective of the fact that I'm going to fill positions, and there's a lag period between getting those positions functional. And so I'm still backfilling on overtime to catch that up. So I guess the good news for me is I will get these positions filled. But in that transition into it, there's a little bit additional expenditure this next year. I expect that will lower because these positions will be filled and operational. The reverse of that is at some point we lost positions and we saved all that money year after year for those positions who weren't funded, and I turned that back. And then the salary benefits increases stuff that was already done. I hope I was concise enough for you. I get very wordy.
No, that was fine. I have a question real quick. So looking at page 3 of 13, the top item and then the third item for police mention the last couple of things we discussed anyway. And then I'm also using page 13 of 13 as a cheat sheet, just so you know where I'm at.
Okay, I'll go to 13. All right.
Yeah, so the first, on the top there, it mentions $113,000 for the administrative position, but it shows 115 on the right-hand column. And then for the police, it shows 1 position at a total of 96, but under police it shows, and you mentioned only $12,000 increase, so how am I interpreting that incorrectly?
I'm going to have to turn to finance for that. I think why they're only reflecting 1 dispatcher is because that second dispatcher is a legislative action where the money's already there, but it's just being carried forward, but I don't want to overspeak.
Well, it's just to true it up. So we're adding the 1 dispatcher, and we're reclassifying 1 person to the, well, legislatively, we're adding the 1 dispatcher, and we're reclassifying a person.
Right. So I believe the new money is that position that I don't believe, this is the fact, that the new money of the 96,003 is the dispatcher that's being restored in position control, that in the budget positions that were frozen, a dispatcher was frozen, and that trues that up, correct? That second position that is costed in that earlier page is reflective of the fact that legislatively, and when I say legislatively, the council has to then unfreeze the position that was frozen. Do I have that? Am I speaking that right? I'm losing myself a little bit, but is that accurate from the finance side? Okay.
Yes.
Is,
So new money in my budget should be 96,003, correct, Matt? Of the one position. The load that they're fixing
Okay,
and
I-
reflecting the numbers is that 187.
I think I get it. Ms.
Okay.
Branham, does that require a separate vote to unfreeze above and beyond our approval or disapproval of the items we're discussing?
I don't believe so. I think the resolution that you're going to be asked to adopt at the end of all of this is accounting for all of the different ways in which the budget is being dispersed here. So, correct, if you know differently, let me know, but I don't think that you need a separate action other than the resolution that's before you tonight to adopt for budget.
Thank you.
I just want to be clear, the net of this is no additional dispatcher positions in the building other than the one that we've been carrying in a frozen capacity that got off the position control chart.
You just want to get back to normal.
Right, that's all it is.
Is there any questions by council?
No, that was one of the questions I did have, where it talks about in the paragraph, the 187 for 2 dispatch, but then down below it said 1, and I was confused. So I understand that the 1 is the new, and this is just an unfreezing. So, no, thank you for the clarification.
And I'm sorry to be confusing, but I don't know how many hours we spent trying to beat this thing the right way. And I'm talking one language, and finance is always talking a different. So Matt loves me for that. But I think this fixes us. And again, this is not reflective of the current finance administration. This was all done when we lost control of position control in a different time period.
Yes, indeed. If there are no more questions on this particular topic, I'd love to jump to Public Works. Before we get to Public Works, Mike, while you're loading up, were there any other questions about administration? I heard some mention of training, the $19,000 that we have for training. That is basically at my insistence that the IT team remain vigorous about staying up to speed on all of the new technologies, including all of the technologies where there has been, how should I say, intrusions, because I want them to be up to speed and ready to address any issue or any sort of threat to our network infrastructure. So this training, combined with the action that council took a few weeks ago with upgrading our equipment, this puts us on good footing. And so I just wanted to just mention that. So Mike Selling, our Public Works Director, can talk a little bit, talk about the Public Works General Fund proposal, if there are no questions about what I just said. Okay.
Well, maybe this isn't a question about that, but I mean, will we be covering Parks and Rec next, or just
Yes.
the general? Okay. I'll hold my question for that then. So go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Thank you all. For our piece, there's a couple of things in here that I wanted to touch on. The 300, and I'm on page 3 of 13 at the bottom. So the 372,000 in part-time building maintenance and custodial staff, what that's a result of, there's no new positions, and it kind of could be misconstrued that way. We have 6 positions essentially for our custodial staff. One is a facilities maintenance worker, one who's our lead person, and then the others were, until I think there were some, and Matt or Stephanie may be able to assist on this, but my understanding is CalPERS had some changes that required what were previously budgeted as temporary positions, which actually aren't positions in the city budget, but simply a dollar amount. The CalPERS requirements, we changed those to part-time positions because there was an hour limit essentially for temporary positions. So it looks like there's positions being added, but they're simply swapping from the temporary to the part-time. So I wanted to make that clarification to you. And then, as we said, I think back on April 18th, with Parks, they're going to essentially, we're shifting over 2 of those positions from Public Works to the Parks and Rec Department because they're going to take on the custodial responsibilities for a few of the city facilities like Chabola and Littleton, and I believe the Parks and Rec building too. So,
Mike, when you say shift, you mean shifting the duties off of you guys onto them. You're not talking about like taking 2 positions of people that perform a certain task and say, we're going to shift you guys to Parks and Recreation now?
No, they're currently vacant. We've been struggling, I think, to fill those positions, and so it's a good time for it to happen anyway. So, so those vacancies essentially will be shifted over there, and they'll recruit for them there. So, did I answer your question, Councilmember?
Yeah, and I think you're not done, so I'll wait for you to finish before I ask.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mr.
Continue.
Lozano?
And I'm
I
sorry.
just
go
have a
ahead.
quick question.
Sure.
I guess it's more of a technical question. I apologize for not asking ahead of time, but so the money that we had set aside for the temporary positions, now that we're moving them to part-time, there's a difference, right? Because we're on a 2-year budget cycle. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it was $200,000, $100,000 per year. We're now in the middle of that 2-year cycle. That money that we had budgeted for the temporary employees for next year, is that rolling over to that? Or how does that work?
So
Yeah, go.
citywide, there will be increases because previously the cap for temporary employees was 900 hours per year. And then CalPERS let us know that our Section 218 agreement from 1963 capped it at 600 hours. So when we redid the personnel manual in December, we changed that classification to be compliant. So a lot of those employees that may have been, between the 600 to 900 hour range are now part-time employees. And so their hourly rate doesn't change, but there are additional costs as far as CalPERS and Social Security associated with those.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you.
Okay, just to add to the confusion, going back from page 313, which we're on at the bottom, and then back to page 13 of 13, it says Public Works, new hires, and it looks like 2 full-time positions, but you're talking about less than full-time positions, so I'm struggling to, and you're talking about positions that are like written down as positions, but not actually positions, from if I understood what you said correctly.
Yeah, and if I understood what you said, Mayor, correctly,
Can we handle that one?
sure.
So the 2 public works positions we haven't gone over yet, those are in a different fund. Those are in one of the new CFDs. And we mentioned at the bottom of that footnote, 2 additional part-time custodian positions. And that's what's represented in the building maintenance for public works and general fund. And it's not necessarily adding positions, but we had some positions that were omitted when we did the original budget. So it's just adding the budget for what we currently have. They just weren't included in the original budget.
But they're listed in this graph here as new hires, though. On page.
On page 13?
No, well, I'm looking at my handout. I'm bouncing between there and the handout. We got, same information, but it's.
There is some confusion. I think what you're possibly seeing, Councilmember, as new hires, that's, as Matt noted, in a different fund in the CFD 2020. So that could be what you're looking at. But as far as the footnote on that table 3, where it talks about Public Works budget includes for 2 additional part-time custodial positions at the 96,803 cost, as Matt said, I think it might have been a similar situation to PD, where for whatever reason, inadvertently, there were a couple of positions that weren't included in the prior budget. But so they're not new positions per se, so.
Well, so it is very, so on page 3 of 13, all it simply says is Public Works anticipates increased costs of 20,000 equipment repair, 70,000 engineering, blah, 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 and then 372,000 in part-time building maintenance custodial staff. It doesn't say how many positions, it just says 372. I'm assuming those are the unfreezing, I'm assuming, but then I'm looking at this other handout where it says, these are the new hires. It has the economic development position that we talked about, has the human resources position, has the dispatcher, the chief, and then it has 2 Public Works, 2,080 hours, which is full-time, maintenance worker 1. So I'm confused now.
Are you looking at this slide?
Yes.
So the 2 public works maintenance worker, or the 2 new positions here are full-time positions, and those are in a different fund. Those are in one of the CFD funds. So that's not part of what we're talking about right now for general fund.
Okay. Well, it would have been helpful just for future. Okay. Well, and I like I said, we have a staff report and then we have this little quick handout, but the handout doesn't say what fund is coming out of or anything, so can be very confusing. So I mean, if we're going to get additional information handed to us in addition to the staff report, it would be helpful if at least, I don't know. So that's all I have. Continue.
Yeah, no, understandable, Councilmember. Yeah, the 372, just to be clear, That is only from Fund 1, and it does not include those two new Maintenance Worker 1 positions, which, as Matt said, is in the CFD 2020 fund. So separate fund, so apologize for the confusion on that, so. And then lastly, the $225,000 is reimbursed from developer fees, so that's really essentially a pass-through there, so.
You said pass-through?
Yeah, essentially, so those services, we will use, consultants to review plans, do plan checks, those kinds of things, review maps. Those services will be paid by the developers, but we still have to reflect them in the budget, so.
Sure.
All right, any more questions for Director Selling? All right, so why don't we move over to page 4 of 13, and we're almost done with the general fund, and then we're gonna, we'll figure out another way to get through the other funds, but we really wanted to spend some time with the general fund, because we know that's the most visible fund, and that's our general operating fund. With non-departmental, forgive me, Matt, I think we covered the increases in insurance and the increase for capital projects. Any questions related to the insurance increase or the capital projects increase?
Yes, one question on the insurance. The 356,000 represents the increase, correct?
Yes.
So what was it before? I'm just trying to, there's no reference point for me to understand what was the insurance before and what it is now. How much of an increase is that compared to what we were paying before? Is that like 50%, 80%, 10, what?
I'm going to guess it's probably around 10, but our crack research staff is working on it, right?
Like roughly, I don't know exactly. I mean, is that, I look at 356,000, it looks like a huge increase, but if you're saying we already pay, $2 million in insurance, then of course it doesn't look as big then. So that's what I'm just trying to figure out.
Insurance is brutal.
So when we adopted the budget in June of last year, we had budgeted $661,000 for fiscal year '24.
So this is a 50% jump then.
And then I believe we also had to increase it in fiscal year '23 because the timing of when they give us our annual amounts that we have to pay for the insurance, we had to, I believe, increase our fiscal year '23 budget $100,000 from the previous estimate we had.
So this 356 roughly is like a 50%-ish
Roughly.
jump. Wow.
We're in a JPA with other cities, 22 other cities. So we are not only affected by our own behavior, but we're affected by the behavior of those other cities. And likewise, they're affected by our behavior. And so we all kind of share the pain when it comes to increased premiums.
Yeah, I can tell you the biggest increase was on our liability insurance. So, and we're tied to those 22 agencies that we're in the JPA with. The next highest was our property premium. That went up by 84%. Our cyber insurance premium went up 553%.
Hence why I asked for the upgrades a couple of months ago, and why you see the training in here for the IT staff, because when we submit for these premiums every year, at least when it comes to cyber, I'd like to show, here's what we've done. Here's what we put in play. Please lower our premiums or don't raise them.
Stephanie, I have a question. You said some of increasing 400, 500, and this is all 22 cities. So other cities increasing the same percentage almost, whatever you mentioned, right?
So we have a financial actuary who does the calculations because some agencies are smaller, some are larger. So it's a combination of your group as a whole, and then they kind of split up the piece of the pie. So it can be a different percentage depending on your agency.
Yeah, but it can be a little bit different, but not that big.
I'd have to look at the actuarial report. I only know what our increases were.
Some cities have a lot of claims. Some cities have no claims. And you have no claims, you're just going to go up, but not as much. But if some cities have let's say a shooting with their PD, and that tends to generate a lot of insurance dollars. But we all have to share. But the city that had the initial incident is going to bear more of that.
So what you thinking about that increase as compared to the other city? We have a bigger increase than the other 22 city?
Well,
That's your statement?
I think given our activity, and Stephanie, I'm just kind of basing this on our conversations, I think there are other cities in the JPA that are a lot more active in this area than we are, so I don't think we would have the highest increase.
No, and I actually will mention the town of Paradise is in our JPA, and with the fires, they had a lot of claims, so, yeah.
Thank you.
So Matt, I would recommend that perhaps Director Solis can touch on the special events, and then maybe you can touch on transfers out, and then we'll kick it back to council and see how they want to proceed through the other funds. We definitely, I don't know if you want to just jump to Fund 6 or work our way through the funds. So I guess while we're going through this, kind of let me know which way you want to go.
I'm sorry, were you directing that to me? I thought you were talking to our...
Well, I was just kind of talking to the council in general, but I wanted to get through the non-departmental special events because there's council direction in there, and we wanted to make sure you all knew that we were implementing that. And also, I wanted Matt to get some clarity on the transfers out of the general fund, because that has some Measure Q implications, and I wanted to make that statement.
Yeah, let's make sure we touch on those then.
Okay, so I believe you're on.
Yeah, so the non-department special events, I'm going to have 3 items brought to you guys from our department. 2 of them already have had staff reports and direction from council, and this is one of them. This was primarily the money for the additional staffing, for the Saturday market, the additional days, and all the costs that are associated with that, the street closures and things like that. So this was brought before you earlier this year, I believe, if not late last year, and direction was given to us to proceed, and this is for the next fiscal year, that half of it.
Okay, I recall that being, the initial amount being 78,000. Was I close?
I believe it was,
So you're not adding, my main point is you're not asking for an over and above. You're
No.
asking for an increase of
this is
28,000.
This is what you guys had approved before given direction to staff to put into this budget. There is no extra cost or ask from that staff report.
What the mayor's referring to is, and I seem to remember, was there was an increased budget. It was just a budget amount that was asked for the Saturday market. It was like $77,000 or $78,000 of some sort. So can you or Jackie or somebody maybe elaborate on how that, is that different than this? Or is this the same, or, because you're saying this number you're giving us here is not an adjustment over what we already were shown. You're saying it's the same.
And the reason I asked that is the projected increase includes 106,000 of additional part-time. So to me, that's over and above what we're spending right now. And that's why I want clarification on that. The bottom line is, regardless of what was before, you're asking for 106, you could just wipe the old amount out. You're asking for 106,000 this time around, or to reset it to that value.
I just want to add too that for the original budget for payroll for all of special events, we'd only budgeted 21,000. So if we may have adjusted something in the middle of fiscal year 23, that wouldn't have adjusted the fiscal year 24 budget. So we're taking what we had adopted a year ago and then truing up to other action you've given us since then.
That would be about 106. Okay, I'm happy with what I've heard. Thank you.
Yeah, we did not ask for anything additional
Right.
from that. Would you like me to?
Yeah, continue. Please continue.
If there are no more questions on the non-departmental special events, Matt will talk about transfers out.
Sure. For general fund transfers out, we have transfers to the Parks and Recreation Fund, Fund 6, and our Lighting and Landscape District funds. Those are funds 32, 33, and 37. And so the top line shows that the increase in transfers out is roughly 2.4 million, and that's related to the increases for Measure Q. So the Measure Q revenue is recorded in general fund, and to facilitate reporting on it so we can show, it has its own GL account. So it's easy to always tell how much Measure Q revenue we've received. And to make it easier to track the expenditures for Measure Q dollars for items that are related to parks and recreation or landscaping, those costs will be in Fund 6 or the lighting and landscape funds. So the increase in transfers out is the Measure Q funding those items. So our total transfers out from the general fund to those funds is roughly 4.2 million. And based on the Measure Q expenditure plan that you provided guidance on I believe it was April 18th, it's roughly 2.9 million of that is funded through Measure Q. So we had 422,000 or 4.2 million in Measure Q revenue, roughly 2.9 million funding the increases in parks and lighting and landscape districts, which leaves about 1.3 million of Measure Q revenue available.
And Director Boring, is it safe to say under transfers out that the 634,000 for Northeast Lighting and Landscape, the West Side Lighting and Landscape District of that transfer of 162,000, and Lighting and Landscape District 3, that's 77,000. If we were to somehow isolate the Measure Q dollars, those transfers are supported by the additional Measure Q dollars. Is that correct?
So the guidance we got, Measure Q is funding the total transfer to the lighting and landscape districts.
Okay.
And only the additional transfer to the Parks and Recreation Fund.
Okay.
So the transfer that was originally budgeted will still be general fund dollars, not Measure Q.
What was that amount?
For fiscal year '24, it was 1.3 million almost. And so implementing the weekly landscaping for personnel and the M&O and equipment, the transfer to Fund 6 is roughly 2.8 million.
And that's to support all of the new personnel and basically our no excuses budget.
Yeah, I understand that part, but
Sir.
And-
what I want to clarify, and some of it's just for the public, but you speak number language and it's a little different than everyday language. So are you saying that the same amount that was transferred from the general fund in the previous budget, that value stayed the same for this budget, but the over and above of that separate from lighting and landscaping came out of Measure Q?
Correct, to fund the
So
additional.
there's three basic blocks. The old general fund for Parks and Recs, Measure Q for Parks and Recs, and lighting and landscaping for Parks and Rec, which is also Measure Q.
Yeah, the lighting and landscape is a different fund, but that's for the,
I know, but the shortfalls that we have every year because there's no escalators
Correct.
built in is being cut because it's lighting and landscaping.
and those are the budget amounts, because I know we've talked about it in previous council meetings where when you look at actuals, there's always a big jump from the actual amount to the budget. So that's the budget amount to cover all operations in the fund if we were able to fill all the positions and complete all the projects and all of the work. So any vacancies or cost savings in those funds, we would reduce the amount that's actually transferred out.
Okay, so could you do me a favor real quick and tell me the difference, the total transferred to Parks and Rec and the difference, how much of that is Measure Q moving forward? Is that going to be a value?
We'll have to look.
874, I already did the math for you. The L&Ls right now, based on his graph, $874,100. So that currently, based on the last meeting when we had a discussion, is going to come out of Measure Q. The $1.494 million that's in there too is going to still come from Fund 01, the general fund.
Is that right? Because that's not what I explained a minute ago.
So the increase in Fund 6, which is roughly the 1.4 million, is going to be Measure Q. So for the general fund transfer to Fund 6, there's roughly 1.28 million, that's general fund, the 1.4 million, that's Measure Q, and there's budgeted 985,000 to Fund 32, and that's Measure Q, 272,000 to Fund 33, that's Measure Q, and 153,000 that's Measure Q.
So the, yeah, so my concern here, because I know the public is concerned about it as they should be, is why was the transfer to Parks and Rec taken from Measure Q and added to the existing transfer? And is that going to be is that the proposed concept moving forward?
That was the direction we were giving at when we went over the Measure Q expenditure plan, that the current general fund transfer to
Right, I
recreation
remember,
would remain
yeah,
the same.
I remember how difficult that was to get consensus on each item, but my recollection is that we agreed to the lighting and landscaping, the three funds, but the original transfer was separate, at least I tried to separate it, and that was going to be funded by general fund monies, not, maybe should have been clarified, but not that value unless there's increases. Then, it wasn't clarified if there was increases, it would come from Measure Q, and that value is going to stay the same moving forward, because if that's true, that value moving forward, just say it's 1.5 every year, million, then every year there's going to be a larger and larger, well, as things are going right now, maybe it'll change, but larger and larger draw off of Measure Q, and that's where my concern is.
So the increase is just to implement the expenditure plan, which had the weekly landscaping and maintenance. So we were directed that those increases would be funded by Measure Q. So going forward, that amount may increase as wages and insurance and other costs increase.
I want to piggyback on what the mayor said real quick. The 1.494 is just a prediction of what you think the contribution will be, right? I just want to establish that first.
For the increase?
Yes.
Correct.
So you're predicting a contribution from Fund 01 to Fund 06 of 1.4 million dollars, 1.5 roughly, okay? And then you're predicting on the lighting and landscape, and then my question on lighting and landscape, that's 634,000, 162,000, 70. Those are the shortfalls for those lighting and landscape?
Those are the increases. So part of that is when we looked at doing the 1.7 million overall to go to the weekly landscaping. Part of that was the total cost overall to implement that, but part of that's in Fund 6, the Parks and Recreation, and part of that's in the lighting and landscape funds also.
Okay.
That's why there's additional increases in those funds.
So now tying into what the mayor was saying, his concern is, if I'm hearing him correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor Vandenberg, but he's saying if we have thus far at this point said that we would like the contribution, the maintenance of effort is a technical term, right? The maintenance of effort for Fund 06 from Fund 01, currently you're predicting at 1.49. I'm just going to call it 1.5 for simple discussion, $1.5 million. If we keep that in place, if the direction we gave stays the same, but inflation, other factors go, eventually just contributing that same number value is going to start impacting Measure Q even more. Let me use an example like Measure R. I know the Measure R and Measure Q are different, but the police budget, Measure R supplements it, right? But the police budget doesn't just stay stagnant for 10 years. The police budget grows as well as Measure R. So what I think the mayor's getting at is, and I think that this is something that I would like to discuss as a bigger discussion in this budget or moving forward, is that whatever 1.5 represents, let's say 1.5 represents, 6% of the general fund. So we're giving 6% currently as a maintenance of effort to Fund 06. I would like to see, instead of using a dollar value, use that percentage and say, if it represents 6%, then that's what I would like to see using forward. So in 4 years from now, if this council remains the same and that policy remains the same, that we're contributing not just 1.5, but it's the same percentage value to Fund 06. That's what I would like to see personally, because then we're factoring in that, I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I actually wrote that note before you said it.
Okay.
So let me make sure I understand. So we're going to establish a maintenance of effort based on the new contribution for Measure R or the old general fund
You measure Q, you mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we make the new contribution a certain percentage that stays the same. Well, if it's a percentage, what's the base for the percentage?
Well, that's what I'm proposing. I mean, I'm just throwing that
Oh, it's a
idea.
good idea.
Last year, let's take the last 3 years as average, just what was our budget? The transfers over were average 6%.
Okay.
And we say that's the percentage we transfer over because
So if the general fund goes from 18 million to, I don't know, let's say next year it's 26 million. I mean, it's not going to be, but let's just say it is. So technically, if we're still using 6%, okay, technically, Fund 06, the maintenance of effort of Fund 06 from 01 is going to be more than 1.49. It's going to be a little more because we're counting for that growth. So we're contributing, we're saying we're always going to, that's a policy decision I would like to see, because then it's consistent and it takes a burden off Measure Q. That's what I'm proposing is just an idea, but.
do you need consensus for that? Anyone else have thoughts on that?
We're only doing a 2-year budget right now.
Right.
Next year, we're going to come back and do another budget. So I'm a little confused if we're
So
going
to.
Please, but thank you. So you're spot on, and that's kind of what was bubbling in my mind because we're asking for a long-term policy decision while we're having a 1-year budget discussion. So,
and a couple questions on that. I noticed that thankfully the market revenue went up, and that money goes to Park and Rec automatically by statute. So, I mean, there are variables, and also, the general fund has to fund a whole lot of other stuff, and if we have catastrophes elsewhere, I'd hate to be tied to say, well, sorry, the police department had this big catastrophe. We've tied ourselves that we're always going to put this much in here. So, I think we do a 2-year budget cycle, and we set that budget every 2 years, and we do a midterm like we're doing now. Yeah, I don't.
Well, Mr. Papineau, and I understand exactly what you're saying, but what I would state is that for a city like Galt that claims that its parks and recreation is so important to its quality of life, and you can find that statement anywhere online. We talk about how critical it is to say that we're concerned about giving 6% of our budget to Parks and Rec. It almost is embarrassing, to be honest with you. I'm just going to say it. I mean, we don't look at the police department and say, well, we'd like to kind of wean you guys off the general fund and make you guys just live on Measure R. No, we don't do that. As a matter of fact, we increase their budget every year, and they get Measure R because public safety is important. And Parks and Rec is very important as well. And so I'm just trying to, I think this you're right, we're just talking about a 2-year budget, but just like we passed a resolution, which was a policy decision, which could be overchanged, of course, at any time by the majority of the council or future council, I'm just simply throwing out, because we're talking about this, that I would like to see a policy decision be implemented that says the percentage just stays the same and not just the dollar value. That's what I'm proposing.
Ms. Branham, are we required, because it's a policy decision, are we required to bring it up as an agendized item at a future meeting?
Yes. So what I would say is if you're talking about something that will change the outcome of the budget decision tonight, then this resolution as written will need to be adjusted. If what you're talking about is a different policy setting goal that will apply going forward, what I would recommend is to agendize that as a separate item.
Okay, so I suggest that you bring that up at council comments and we'll deal with it then, and we'll, thank you.
Thank you.
So we can move on to?
Yes, sir. And I would also suggest that if we can get past this item tonight, we can start to have conversations about what that policy will look like way ahead of the deliberations for the 24 through 26 budget, which will be right on us pretty soon.
Agreed.
Okay. So what I would recommend, just sort of to expedite things, Matt, I would suggest we turn it back to Matt, let him go through the funds. We stop at Fund 6 and go through the in-depth like we did with the general fund, and does that work for everybody?
Sounds great.
Okay, Matt?
Okay, switching to the funds then. So going through the staff report on page 4 for Fund 2, there's a slight decrease in revenue just from our gas tax estimates. And an increase of roughly 77,000 transfers in from Measure A, which is Fund 29, to cover anticipated expenses. And then for gas tax expenditures, we have an increase, roughly 76,000 in salary and benefits from labor negotiations, a minor increase in training and vehicle maintenance and other small items. And then throughout the staff report, there's a lot of different departments or funds that have either an increase or decrease in unfunded pension liability. And that's one of the benefits that when we implemented the personnel module in our budget, we can better allocate those, because the previous method is we just kind of did it in Excel and it was a flat rate per employee. So now we take the employee's salary and compare that to the pool overall and compare that so it's a more equitable distribution.
Is that going to help keep unfunded down?
It's not going to change the unfunded liability. We're taking the annual amount that we have to pay to CalPERS. We're just allocating it more equitably amongst the different funds and departments,
Okay.
rather than just a fixed cost per employee. Going to Fund 3, we just have minor increase, roughly 100,000 from transfer in from Fund A to cover deficits. And the primary increase in expenditures is a CIP project for Dead Man Gulch improvements. And then minor changes to personnel and, like I mentioned, changes to the unfunded liability. In our water fund, Fund 5, we have a reduction in water service of roughly 113,000, and that's due to the new two-tier rate structure that we have approved. And that's offset with reinstatement of fees, roughly 96,000, so the overall decrease isn't as significant. Water expenditures, the primary increase there is going to be the salary and wages from negotiations of roughly 175,000, and then capital improvements of roughly 4.45 million.
Since you're at right before 6, and for the public's knowledge, all these funds, like 01, not, well, 12, I guess technically, but 02, 3, all these funds have their own separate balance sheets, their own gains and losses, and this is not going to affect the general fund in any way.
Correct. You can kind of look at each fund as its own entity. Different funds have different restrictions. For example, like the water funds is one of our enterprise funds, so there's very specific rules on what you can do with that. Like Fund 6 that we'll talk about is a special revenue fund, so revenues generated in that fund can only be used in that, and they have different restrictions. But in general, each fund is sort of like its own little entity.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I have a quick question about that. Is there ever a time where our rates don't cover the costs of services for these funds? So like, let's just say wastewater. Is there a time where we have to have a supplement from the general fund for that?
I can't speak to Galt's long-term history, but I can just tell you from past experience in very small districts where I worked for Pryor County, there were situations where the costs did not, or the revenues did not cover the costs, and you have to go for a rate increase. And so usually when you go for a rate increase, you're doing a portion of that new proposed rate is going to be essentially to backfill that deficit, if you will. Sometimes you have to do an interfund loan or something like that to kind of, keep it going. So, but it can happen. But I can tell you, for the city here, for the water and wastewater, we are rock solid. So,
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions before we get to Parks and Recreation? Okay.
Okay, Fund 6, Parks and Recreation, which includes Parks, Rec, the Galt Market, the Aquatic Center also. We still have a status quo budget we have not made any major additions to this. And you're asking, why haven't we done that? We have Measure Q. We haven't brought back to City Council a list of items to start making improvements. So none of that is in the budget. Some of our wish list for maintenance or additional projects, other than what you guys discussed on April 18th with the 8 positions, 8 full-time, 6 part-time. You guys also indicated approving an additional O&M of over $500,000 and over $350,000 for vehicles, equipment, and items like that. That was direction given to you from you on April 18th to add to this budget. So there are no major increases other than that.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, I just want to make sure there's clarity. There's a statement regarding the Parks and Recreation expenditures where staff identified new expenditures. I'd like to apologize. That statement is not accurate. This $534,000 reflects the direction that we received from council on April 18th. And so, if I had it to do again, I'd rephrase that initial statement. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
Thank you, because that does look like an over and above.
Mr. Solis, on the page, and again, I'm referring to the handout, so I apologize. It's the Fund 06 Parks and Rec expenditure list. Looks like this here. It might be the one that's up there. Yeah, is it that one? Yeah, that's the one. So, can somebody tell me, why did it show administration went down by 27%? What was that due to? Was there an admin position that, you see where it says there's a $60,000 and $499 decrease in admin? So there was a budget adjustment down.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
I'm not sure this is the first time I've seen.
I believe part of that's, we reallocated some of the salaries, so Parks and Rec is overseeing like the rifle range. So part of their salaries that would have previously been allocated to admin are allocated to rifle range to represent the amount of time they spend there. So that'll be a reduction to the Parks and Recreation Fund.
Okay, because I mean, you have to be honest, looking at all this document, there's no numbers that are really going down. Everything's going up, and so when you see one that goes down, it kind of catches your eye. And then, Mr. Solis, one more question for you, real quick. On the next page that shows all the itemized, the stuff we talked about last time, all the additional, yeah, there you go, that page. So, essentially, just kind of an overview is, essentially we're doubling the positions we asked for and all these things. This stuff is allowing us to double the crews. We're doubling the maintenance crews, right? We're going up to a higher schedule of mowing. We're you're basically saying we're gonna have 2 crews going so that we can provide this level of maintenance, right?
Yes.
So we're doubling it. That's the word that was used, doubling. You used that. But so with that, and I know some of these things like the training, for example, I mean, clearly you're training, so that's like a whole new thing. So 400% increase in training, I guess would make sense. And then there's like solid waste disposal, 476% increase in solid waste disposal. Well, I guess if you're mowing more, you're creating more, whatever, then obviously it's going to go up a lot. And you're mowing more often. So I'm just trying to understand, and again, maybe it's because the schedule's different too, but if we're essentially doubling things, but yet almost every increase I see in here versus the adopted budget and the midterm, so I'm assuming the adopted budget is what you guys used to have budgeted before we decided to up your crews and all that stuff. And now we've decided to hire all these different people, and we're going to buy this extra equipment. We're going to have these, second mowing crew going. But I'm seeing percentage jumps, 140%, 300%. So I'm just trying to understand, just on behalf of the public, how we go from doubling our staff and doubling our workload, but yet our budget changes are going up like triple digit, you know what I'm saying?
We've actually more than doubled our workload. Currently, we're doing 2 park mows a month and 1 landscaping per month. We will be doing everything once per week. So our landscaping, Carillion, Walnut, Twin Cities, Marengo, those major corridors, Lincoln Way. That'll be done on a weekly basis now.
And they were
So
previously done on a
monthly,
monthly. Okay, so you're basically 4 times
right.
the workload. Okay, well, see, that makes sense to me. I just, you look at these percentages and like, well, you know, like, I don't know, fuel, like if you're doubling your crews, how can fuel go up 268% if you're just timesing it by 2? But, okay. Well, that answers a lot of questions I had on this page. I think, yeah, I think I'm going to leave off right at the moment and see if any other constituents have questions, but that's what I have for the moment.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Farmer.
Anything else for Director Solis?
No.
All right, so I guess we'll turn it back to Matt and let him proceed with.
Can we back up once?
Yes, sir.
Since we kind of touched on it a little bit, I'm just going to ask now. Maybe it's got to happen. So, in the previous council meeting where we discussed on table 3 here, page 13 of 13, the bottom half, it shows the things we approved. And one of those approvals was, an ask was 1 full-time and 1 part-time maintenance worker, and for $7,000, we bumped it up to 2 full-time. So above that is a public works of 2 people. You know, one of the things that was explained to us is that this would give public works, their employees, more time to do their public works duties, I guess, and separate from parks and rec. And now we've approved that, or tentatively, and now we're asking for a second. It seems like we're doubling on these bodies, and that's kind of for Mike and Armando both, but.
So I can speak to it on the park side, is that we felt that we needed to have more control over our repairs and maintenance to make it a priority for the public and our department. Right now with Public Works and their maintenance crews, we're fighting with the police department, City Hall, any of the other areas that they maintain for any type of maintenance work on our buildings. So I think it will have a better control over our maintenance under the direction of Armando Morales, and we can actually get stuff done in a more timely manner for us. Not that they were doing anything wrong. It's just a priority. They only had so many bodies, so many projects, and we were kind of put off to the back burner because a lot of them aren't priorities to them, although they are to us.
Understood. Mike, Mr. Selling, sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, and yeah, right along with what Armando's talking about, for them to take over. I think when we look at the service order requests that our facilities maintenance gets, Parks makes up just right at, I think it was like 49%. It was roughly almost half of the service order requests, because they've got a lot of facilities, and you know, obviously the public is using those facilities, you know, every day. So when, you know, when we looked at, okay, if they were to take on the maintenance and janitorial services for the Cibola and Littleton and P&R admin building, like I mentioned, how does that look like? And I can tell you from the public works side, maintaining all the city facilities, we were understaffed and remain understaffed, quite frankly, on the facilities side. We had one position that was frozen for a couple of years, and we were basically running on 2 guys. So for them to take on their facilities maintenance will allow our staff, we're not looking to grow our facilities maintenance staff, so I just want to make that clear. We've got 3 positions, and those are what we will use to essentially, you know, continue to maintain the rest of the city's facilities. But it allows us to actually be in a more preventative maintenance, you know, proactive mode, instead of just constantly putting out fires every time something breaks, kind of thing. So, so we'll be able to do our normal preventative maintenance, and that, you know, pays dividends in the end, because it's not as costly if you maintain your facilities. So then if you're just constantly fixing things as they break. But on those two positions that you mentioned, Mayor, those are not facilities maintenance positions that we're requesting. Those are streets maintenance positions. And that what that's tied to is, and as Matt touched on earlier, it's from the CFD 2020-1 fund. And you may recall, we've had 7 annexations of new developments into that fund. And that, a lot of that infrastructure is already in place. Houses aren't totally built and lots, developed, but a lot of the piping and everything and the roads and everything are in place. Those things are already, starting to need, some limited maintenance. So what we're asking on those two positions, and I think we look back too, the city has not added any streets maintenance or maintenance worker ones for, I think it was about a decade or so was the last time we had any additional staff positions on that side. So the city has certainly had some growth over this last decade. And like I said, with those 7 annexations, we condition those developments. Every lot is paying money into that CFD to maintain all those roads and streetlights and, sewers and storm drains and water lines and whatnot. So all of those facilities require that maintenance. So these two positions would be using that money only, no general fund or anything else, to pay for those two positions that we're asking. And again, that'll help our street side, be more in a preventative maintenance mode, turning valves and flushing lines and TVing, sewer lines and storm drain lines, fixing potholes, all those things, street lights on down the road. So that's what that is. So sorry for the long-winded response.
No, that was great. And being an I&E technician as a full-time job, I understand exactly what you're saying. It's if you touch the equipment and make sure it's clean, dry, even those simple things and the bolts turned, make it a lot easier when things actually need to get done.
Mr. Mayor, if I may
Go
have
ahead.
a question for Mr. Selling. I wanted to kind of piggyback on what the mayor was saying, and I think part of his question at the beginning, and thank you for clarifying the position of the CFD, and I get that. We pass those CFDs, we collect funds for landscaping, for new houses on their taxes, blah, 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 and so you're going to fund those. But my concern still is, going back, just to revisit this conversation we had, is the positions that we created with Parks and Rec to maintain their own facilities now, which I agree, I think will work better. I think I would want to, in the spirit of efficiency, I think you're right. I think ideally it will be better. But, that was basically, we're creating 220 man hours of work per week. So now I know what Mike's saying is like, well, we were understaffed and we weren't really doing the job they wanted from us. But even if you were to cut that 220 hours and say, well, they weren't giving you guys 220 hours, you're still looking at 100 hours a week. That's still roughly, two full-time positions worth of work. What my question is we just took 220 hours of the work and put it in your department, and whether you say it's 220 out of yours or it's 100 or whatever, there was some man hours taken off the shoulders of Public Works. Where does those man hours go now? Can those man hours not be part of the 2 positions you're asking for the CFD? I get that. I could care less if the CFD funds those because that's a fund, fine. But I still would like to know what we're going to do those extra hours. Mr. Hines said, well, we're going to revisit the workload and figure that out. But we're talking about budget. I would like to still have an answer to that at some point.
Sure, and I can hopefully answer that for you, council member. So what will happen, like I kind of touched on a little bit, was it will allow us to get into more of a preventive maintenance mode to where we are maintaining equipment and facilities on the basis that they need to be maintained instead of essentially a run to failure, because that's really what we are right now is, we've got a backlog list that I referred to, and Parks and Rec has about half of that. So the other half of the stuff, we'll be able to start chipping away at that list and also doing those preventive maintenance measures. So hopefully at some point that list becomes, significantly small, and we can be in more of a, like I said, proactive, ongoing, keeping things maintained. So you don't have to, wonder like when's that door going to get fixed, or when's that light going to get fixed, or when's that building going to be painted, or whatever it may be, kind of thing. So we'll be able to do those things as we'd like to do, as as is typical, instead of just a okay, what's the
that answer?
Yeah.
That's a legitimate answer, and I think it's a good idea. Instead of going chasing down fires, you're like, because we have this free time, so to speak, you've decided to use that to be proactive. So that does make sense to me. I get it. And so thank you for the answer. But it also brought one more thing I wanted to bring up. Just a concern I have moving forward with maintenance, because you guys really, it's kind of a partnership between Parks and Rec and Public Works. And as Mr. Solis knows, and I think you do too, selling, is I'm very, very picky about like weed abatement, for example, right? And I know Mr. Solis has been keeping me informed with the progress of that and getting people certified to spray and all that. But I think what I've seen in the past, what happens is, and I'm concerned about it continuing to happen, and I don't want it to happen, is that there's like, well, what weeds are you talking about? Is it a planter? Okay, that's us. Well, is it a sidewalk? Oh, well, that's Public Works. I mean, right now, I seen, parks guys out there doing whatever, and then I come back to the same area, and there's weeds all on the sidewalk. The planters are great, the sidewalk's not great, and that could be vice versa, right? I don't want to see that moving forward, because he's came to us saying this is the no excuse plan, and we're saying, okay, if this is the no excuse plan, we're ready to give that to you so we don't hear any complaints. But Public Works isn't coming to us with a no excuse plan. So I'm hoping what I'm hearing is that you guys will still work together and for the betterment of whatever, and no finger pointing. And I'm not saying that goes on, but do you understand what I'm getting at, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And the only thing that I would say to that, I won't, if you want, I can go back and come up with a no excuse plan. It's going to probably be a few more positions. But what I would say is, essentially, their priorities are certainly different than our priorities. I mean, if I got a water line or a sewer line, that's going to take precedence over weeds. There's just no ands, ifs, or buts about that. But, we will definitely, particularly if we have 2 additional streets maintenance workers positions, I think that you will see a definite improvement in that. And I think we can do a better job coordinating between ourselves too. Hey, where are you guys going to be, next week or something like that? And we can kind of schedule our guys too to be out there. So you do get that, uniform, product that you're looking for.
Well, and I would hope that Mr. Solis, that we're giving him a pretty hefty boost to staff, and, hopefully we're going to have some certified weed sprayers soon and all that kinds of stuff, that we're not just going to go out and say, well, this is our area, but 7 feet over, there's some weeds on the sidewalk, and we're just going to not touch that because that's Public Works.
No.
I mean, and I think that it goes without saying, Armando, that your guys, you're going to probably have a general understanding that we're going to kind of keep everything kind of whatever, unless it's way off of your scale, right?
Right, unless it's going to completely derail our timeline, we're going to knock it out. I mean, we've been working together with Public Works, weeding, and then they come back and sweep it, so we're not having to blow it. We're working together on items like that on high traffic areas like Lincoln Way. So our guys go through, we don't bother blowing, and then the street sweeper will come through and clean up. So we coordinate a lot of those things now, and I'm sure we will continue to do that.
Well, and I appreciate it. I mean, I'm spraying a lot of weeds in Old Town right now within a pretty good proximity of my own business, so I'm looking forward to that being done.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Any more questions for Director Solis? All right, Matt, please proceed, sir.
Okay, moving on to wastewater. Similar to water, there's a $373,000 reduction to the anticipated revenues, and that's primarily due to the decrease in charges for services with the 2-tiered rate and offset by an increase in anticipated penalties. For wastewater expenditures, there's a $2.7 million increase, which is $2.6 million is capital, and a very small increase in M&O, and the remaining $146,000 is due to salary increases from negotiations. For Fund 8, which is the firing range we mentioned earlier, we didn't have any anticipated changes in revenues. So for expenditures, we're anticipating a decrease of $352,000. We added a CIP project for the East Gun Range for $150,000, but delayed the gun range expansion project, so that was a $500,000 reduction. For the, find my full name, the Transportation Development Act, which is Fund 9, we have a transfer in revenue estimate of $1.4 million. And that's transfer from Fund 29, so that's a backfill from one of our other transportation funds. And we have anticipated increase in expenditures of 122,000, and that's primarily for professional services and anticipated, or we're not anticipated to receive credit we normally got from Sac County, so we'll have to pay for the full cost for some expenditures. Our intergovernmental streets expenditures, Fund 10, is a slight increase of $12,000. Moving to capital acquisition, Fund 11, we have a revenue increase of $30,000, and that's just due to anticipated receiving higher interest now. And we have a slight $10,000 increase in expenditures, and that's due to the negotiation changes for the salary schedules. Moving on, so now we're at the page top of page 7, the Capital Improvement Water Fund, Fund 13. The expenditures increased $2.1 million, and that's due to newer increased capital projects. One of the main ones is $1.25 million for a 12-inch well at Industrial Avenue, and annual water main replacement for $375,000, and then various other projects. Fund 14 is our capital improvement wastewater expenditures, and that has $640,000 increase, also for capital projects. Various projects in the $100,000 to $200,000 range in that fund. For our Sacramento Transportation Authority, we have anticipated expenditures increasing of $1.8 million, and that's primarily transfers to the other transportation-related funds. So there's increase in transfers to Fund 2 of $77,000, $106,000 to Fund 3, and the $1.4 million to Fund 9 we just mentioned a minute ago, and also a $250,000 annual pavement rehab project. And then we move to our lighting and landscape districts. So the Northeast Lighting and Landscape District, revenues increasing $635,000, and that's the Measure Q funded transfer from general fund. And for expenditures, the vast majority of that is $460,000, and that's due to the increase from negotiations and the increase of staffing for the going to the weekly maintenance. As we mentioned, the crews that do that are funded from the Parks and Recreation Fund, Fund 6, and then the 3 lighting and landscaping districts. And then there are some increases in equipment and then the redistribution of the unfunded liability. For the West Side Lighting and Landscape District, which is Fund 33, that has a revenue increase of $162,000, and that's Measure Q related. And the expenditure increase in that fund is very similar to the Northeast. It's just that fund's share of those costs. And Lighting and Landscape District number 3, which is Fund 37, it's very similar. It has $162,000 increase in transfer from general fund, and then $163,000 increase for its share of the cost to go to the weekly maintenance. And then, do we have any questions on those? Because that's the end of where we have Measure Q in the budget.
No, we kind of ran over that.
All right.
Thank you, though.
We'll keep moving on then.
So Matt, if I may jump in, we're going to move to Measure R right now. Is that where we're headed now?
We have one other fund
Okay.
for Measure R.
All right. So when we get to Measure R, Chief, would you jump in and explain the expenditures to the council? Yes. And Matt, I'll step away.
All right. So before we get to Measure R, we just have the Community Facility District 2005-1, and that had $149,000 increase, and that was mostly due to the salary negotiation changes and the unfunded liability redistribution. And then that brings us to Measure R, which is Fund 47.
Could we pause right there and take a 5-minute recess?
Sure.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
You know, you look like one of those models. Oh, okay, Jay. All right.
Attention, everyone. If we could get back to business, that would be great. Chief, if you don't mind, I'd like to do public comment right now instead of leaving them waiting.
That's fine.
Thank
You're like
you.
my staff. No, I'm just kidding.
Side, and I have to say I really embrace the percentage towards tying it to the general fund side. So I'm going to stay away from that. But reality, we got a lot of good proposals here on how to spend money, guys. But we look at the economy right now, and everyone's saying recession. Okay, it's coming. It's here. We're seeing revenues decline on gasoline. You're going to see tax revenues decline on sales. And yet, all of these people are bringing you very, very good reasons to spend more money. Revenues didn't go up double digit in anything other than Measure Q dollars coming in and having an impact. If Measure Q had not passed, these topics that we've been talking about tonight probably wouldn't be on the table. I'm fine with them being on the table. I'm fine with saying, hey, 6% of budget is going to go towards it, or whatever percentage you guys come up with. I know it's non-binding, but reality is it's showing your dedication to it. The only thing I didn't hear come up tonight that, to me, was a savings plan. And we've got a lot of big budget things on our wish list. We've got a baseball field for $5.5 million. We've got overhauls of buildings that are public buildings that are going to be millions of dollars to remodel and retrofit and bring to where they probably should be today. But something I'm not hearing in this budget process at all is saying, okay, well, where is our budget fund for rainy day fund? To me, that needs to be budgeted as well as every one of these departments that's up here today asking you for money. And I'd love to see the council and I'd love to see the city direct certain percentages towards the savings plan. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Boring, would you just really quickly state our policy with the percent?
We do have an economic reserve requirement, and that's 25% of general fund and parks expenditures. So every year at year end, we calculate what the actual expenditures for both funds were, and 25% of that, we have a reserve of general fund balance.
So as these expenditures go up, the dollar value of what gets put in the rainy day fund goes up.
Correct.
Can you give us that amount, please?
I don't know off the top of my head, it's over $4 million.
Okay. And then there's, yeah, that's, I just want, so it's in the public square, right? So, I mean, that's a great point, but it is there and it is required. So with that, Chief Kalinowski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So I have a couple topics to cover. Some might go off of Measure R slightly. However, for Measure R specifically, you can see the slide that is presented there. The sum total of next year's spending plan actually looks about a $560,000 deficit spend in Measure R, and that's directly related to the capital equipment that you see there for $455,000 primarily, which covers 2 years of marked police car purchases, 4 vehicles. Historically, we've sought to do 3 marked vehicles. However, I had staff take a fine-tooth comb over the vehicles, mostly related to what it is costing us to get a car on the street, which is about $85,000 now. The outfitting, which was just a year ago $19,000, is now $29,000, in addition to what I've talked about many times, the increase in the car prices. So and the reason why we're doing a 2-year expenditure is because of the supply chain issues that we have with the vehicles that we talked about last year. When I'm buying vehicles, I end up not getting those vehicles on the street for more than a year later. So our request is to purchase those 4 marked units upon budget approval after July 1st, with the intent that we would have the full deployment of the vehicle simultaneously. My hope is then at some point the supply chain, with these high interest rates and other things that are going on to constrict that supply chain issue, to catch it all up, won't be such an issue and we don't have to do multi-year purchases. So in Fund 47, you're seeing that. The second piece you're seeing, which is an expense of about $115,000, is what will be 4 dispatch consoles in the dispatch center. Those are from 2003, so they're 20 years old. So we have a request from our dispatchers to upgrade those. All the equipment that they use is on those tables that are ergonomic and have filtration systems and all these parts to that because they're plugged into that equipment for their shift. And so it allows us to upgrade and replace that 20-year-old equipment. In addition, you see some increases for fuel and lubricants. That 29.6 was what we adopted June of 22. In the mid-year, mid-year is what we call it, you increased our fuel and lubricants across the board. This is reflective of that continued increase. So I think that's the sum total of significant changes that I control. Unfunded liability and salary and benefits are not in my wheelhouse. That's driven by the direction of finance. So whereas we have nearly $1.9 million in reserves in Measure R, we will burn off a substantial amount of that next fiscal year in these mostly one-time expenditures. And I want for a minute to talk about a couple different topics that are only because it may be, I don't know how it's going to get funded in the future, but there was a request in the last budget bill that we bring back the topic about a third SRO. And so the department has been working on that, working with the school districts. The school district is interested in having the third SRO position. My team and I are working with that SRO, under the umbrella of the SRO, actually creating a youth services unit with that third SRO deployment, so I can create a unit that is addressing teen center issues and after-hour issues a little better, and bringing the CSOs and other key staff in that. Ultimately, I got to get, well, we'll leave that alone because I haven't talked to the city manager about that. So you'll see that proposal when it comes forward about how I think that youth services unit will look. We have requested a grant, a hiring grant like we did some years ago to offset some of our costs. That's a $125,000 grant over 3 years, which will reduce sort of the school district and the city's cost for that position. I'm not asking for that now because we want to ask and answer on the grant, just so we do our due diligence. The school district is aware of that. And is supportive. So just covering, sort of check marking the request on the SRO, that's where we're at. I know earlier we talked about the flock camera program, but I'm coming to you in June. Flock has approached us about locking the cost of the contract and not escalating that cost on us with a multi-year contract, and we're going to be asking for additional cameras in the city. We started with 15, we're going to ask for 10 more. Primarily, that's going to be funded by that auto theft funding that I told you about. But out in about year 4.5 or so, there'll be a shortfall that I'll be asking for the expenditure through Measure R if the revenue doesn't keep up. But that's all outside of the general fund purview. But then it locks the per camera at $2,500 a year for the 5 years. The proposal is it will go up by $500 a camera after June 30th. So I'm going to have if I don't do anything, I'll have an additional $7,500 expenditure in flock anyways. So we want to leverage the lower cost and additional camera coverage. And I think we talked about some of those concepts when we talked about flock to start. It's been widely successful for us on a multitude of issues related to follow-up investigations and tracking responsible parties on different issues. So that's a piece of that. So that some of that stuff gets outside of the Measure R, but I wanted to call it out. And during break, I talked to Matt about Fund 70 that you're going to hear about on page 10. And he said, can you just cover it when you talk about Measure R? So I'm going to do that. Fund 70, which is our COPS money. There's also a request for 3 unmarked cars. Those cars are less expensive because they're unmarked vehicles. That Fund 70 has a surplus in it. So that one-time expenditure is burning off some of the residual funds in that account. We thought that was the appropriate place to hit that expenditure without going further in deficit spending with Measure R this year and or making a request out of the general fund. So with that, I think that covers everything that I needed to say to you about our adjustments related to next year.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do, yes. Thank you, Chief, for the thorough presentation. You mentioned that we're going to burn through the 1.9 million in reserves in Measure R right now. Kind of piggybacking onto a comment by a citizen about being cognizant of, reserves and things. It's a very good point. Do we have a policy in place for keeping a certain amount in Measure R? I mean, I've told you before, I back when we'd have all these leftover, a lot of money left over in Measure R, was like, people paying a half cent to see public safety. If that money's not being used for public safety, I think it's being wasted. So on one hand, I very much like to see the money being implemented. But on the other hand, I also too would piggyback that question. And the second part of this question would be, what if the sales tax did, anything's possible. What if next year it declines by 50,000 or something like that? What would we do? What would be the response to that?
So the two-part on that is the direction from the city manager is that we treat the Measure R, kind of our target floor on Measure R would be similar to what we do in the general fund in the Parks and Rec, about the 25% and maintaining that. So that looks like something like $750,000 to $800,000 residual balance that we want to not get below that. So we maintain a cushion. But we're far from that. However, we can get there quickly if we're not smart about the use of the funds, and so that's where I get a little leery. The second piece is I do expect some softening in gas isn't always going to be $4.50 a gallon. In life, that's just not what happens. So I expect that to soften at some point. However, I've been told, and I don't want to get into financial planning, that beyond the gas tax or the sales tax on gas, everything else is a hard revenue stream, like Walmart. If we had a downturn, we'd actually see more folks use a Walmart scenario than we would if we had auto sales in town. That swings violently. So the belief is that the revenue that we have projected in Measure R is a pretty firm number. Now, we did have a run-up because of the sales tax, and so we did some adjustments last year with that. But what I'm being told by finance, that this revenue number that we have of 2.363 is a good number for us. And so we're basing that off the projection of the 2.97. I guess I would say that next year we won't be buying vehicles. So we're going to save significant money, at least for a year. And I know finance is working on an asset replacement program related to our rolling stock, our vehicles, across all funds. So we feel like we can better target those expenditures and not have huge fluctuations. I'm not worried about a $50,000 reduction or even a $100,000 reduction in revenue in Measure R, because we can absorb that. Well, I think where I'd worry if it was $400,000 or $500,000, but I just don't see a scenario where people aren't going to go to the store and do those basic things, because that's really what we provide in sales tax here.
Yeah, I think they might back off on coffee and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
But Walmart's expanding right now, so
Right.
I mean, they might even, their sales tax might even boost. But no, I agree, and that's an interesting scenario. But like you said, we do have that cushion, so that's good to know.
The past 3 years have shown the resiliency of our financial or economic situation.
Right, and I think I haven't closed the book. We obviously haven't closed the books for this year. We always seem to pick up a few dollars at the end. So even if I'm in a deficit spend a little bit next year, I'll pick a few bucks up this year. And we've picked up money every year. I mean, we've spent significant money on body-worn cameras, and we weathered all that with no decrease in the fund balance. So, we have other ideas about, command post kind of things and stuff that, we use peek at, but we'll see where we are a year, 18 months from now, whether we want to go down that road.
Well, I do say it from time to time when we talk about different things, how I don't like to use the last couple of years as the benchmark, because, I think that the pandemic years were just an anomaly from everything from housing prices to, whatever. So if you use that as like, wow, look how much our sales tax, and we could get ourselves in trouble. Last thing I just want to mention, just because we're talking about it, I really like hearing about the stuff about the SRO, because I'm always talking to you about SROs, like one of my things. But the other thing, just so I have a chance to throw a plug for it, is, one of the big complaints I always hear about too is also traffic safety. So just want you to always keep that anytime I have a chance to throw that at you, Chief. Just keep in mind, traffic safety, as you heard Mr. Lee talking about on 4th Street, it's always one of the top 3 things I hear from citizens, whether it's either grass, homeless, or traffic safety. Depending on what type of a year it is, what month, it's one of those 3 in certain order, but it's always one of those top 3 is speeding and, small town problems, like I say. So
Right, and they're important issues, and I think I've articulated that well to my staff. I think I did a presentation that talked about our annual report and where we were kind of first quarter, and the increase in officer productivity, specifically traffic stops, sort of that welcome wagon approach, talking to folks and things. So we're still maintaining that level of diligence, and so we'll continue to do that. We do have 2 motor positions or traffic positions that we can have. You did approve 2 motorcycles, and someday they will get here. That was
right
back when Grandma was a baby. It feels like we approved that. It's taken so long, but they'll get here at some point this summer. We struggle a little bit with the newness of our staff, and so we need to get folks off probation and available to be doing some of these specialty assignments. But I think over some time we will get some traction on that. So I would say the staff is and from my viewpoint, is doing a good job on being proactive and staying busy.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they give us pretty up-to-date estimates. So if there starts to be a downturn, they'll let us know, and we would adjust our future year budgets and, like you said, not have the one-time purchases in there.
Any other questions on Measure R or comments? Is that it, Chief?
Yeah, that's it. I expect, I can't give an exact timeline on that grant notification, but when we get a signal what direction we're going, we'll be back before council about that third position and how we think that could look. I think the city's due for sort of youth services unit concept with, maybe a car that says youth services and some different things like that, and sort of double down in that world. And so I'll come back with some visionary stuff that we've put together and see what's supported.
Since we're on that, I don't want to go down that road too much here, but is there a way that, as that develops, that you could get us the MOU with the school districts as well as the job descriptions of the SROs?
Yes.
Moving forward?
Yes, I can give you the MOU. So you're looking at the MOU when we had the grant monies, or the current MOU I have right now?
The current one.
Okay, yes, we'll get that for you. I'll send it through the city manager for all of you to have it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. With that, I think next is Solid Waste Fund.
Okay, we only have a few more funds you have to listen to me talk about. So solid waste, we have an increase in revenue of $428,000, and most of that's just due to charges for services for the new garbage contract we have. And we also have almost $46,000 for grants, and those are for, I believe we have some recycling, and do we have the? Yeah, so the recycling and household hazardous waste grants. For solid waste expenditures, we have an increase of roughly $95,000. The majority of that, we have a $61,000 increase for household hazardous waste and Sauk County MOUs. And the majority of the remainder is just increases from the negotiations and approved salary schedules. The next fund is the Reassessment District 2015-1, which is Fund 51. And we have an increase in expenditures of $149,000. And that's related to payroll, so that's just adjustment for the salary schedules and the redistribution of the pension unfunded liability. Moving on to Community Facilities District 2020-01, which is Fund 52. We have a $270,000 revenue increase, and that's primarily just to increase tax collections now that we have more properties that are annexed into that CFD. And then the expenditures, the projection is $257,000, and that's for those the maintenance worker ones that would work on streets in that area.
Correct.
And then the redistribution of pension unfunded liability is another chunk of that. And the chief covered Fund 70, the COPS fund. And that's the end of our list.
Matt, I would just add, based on prior comment from one of the council members, you aren't going to get a surprise for any vehicles or anything along with those two positions, because I did vet that with staff. So we shouldn't be asking for anything else related to those two positions.
Very good. Thank you.
Can I circle back to Mr. Solis real quick? I had a question. And it's this is just a numbers question, so I understand what I'm reading right correctly. One of the new positions that we tentatively approved last time, that's again, you're not asking if anything new. This is one of the ones we talked about, but it was the office assistant. It's a full-time position. It looks like office assistant number 2, 2,080 hours. It says the salary and then it has benefits. Does that salary figure, I'm assuming because the salary figure is one figure and the benefits is an additional figure and then you have the total, that salary is actually the net amount, like they actually will get paid. That doesn't include any does that include like work comp and those things? So if I was to, what I'm getting at is if I was to take that salary and divide it by 2,080 hours, is that what I'm assuming the position pays, or is there other things factored in there?
If they had any ad pays, those would be factored in there, but for that position, it should just be the hourly rate times the 2,080 hours.
Okay.
And then any charges for workers' comp or benefits or insurance and anything else would be under the benefits.
Would be under the benefits package. Okay, all right. And then one also thing, circling back to Measure Q a little bit, just so an understanding, you gave us the numbers earlier, and I'm going to visit them about after we spend X, Y, Z and the purchase of the equipment and the new maintenance costs and all that, there'll be X amount left. So I just want to read it, just to clarify that the $143,000 in equipment purchases and the capital improvements, I'm looking at the page 5 of 13, by the way. 5 of 13, about 2/3 down under Parks and Rec expenditures. It says $143,000 for the equipment costs, and then the capital improvements and projected costs of $450,000. Those are obviously one-time costs. That's about $593,000. So that's not going to be a reoccurring thing every year. So I would safe to say that in 2025 or whatever, once we get out of that first fiscal year, whenever that is, that won't be a reoccurring. The only things that will be reoccurring is those salaries for the 400 and whatever, the 500 and something O&M, and the other stuff. And yeah, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe we have some vehicle purchases in there, so those should last for a few years. Once we get our like internal service fund or mechanism to fund vehicle purchases, there will be an ongoing charge there for that, but it won't be, one vehicle per year. It'll be roughly 1/5 of a vehicle per year replacement.
Right. I'm just trying to understand, like, X amount of money left over Measure Q. This is not ongoing every year.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're thinking, you're forward thinking that, okay, if we commit to this amount, then the next year we'll get back 100,000.
Now, there might be other expenditures we can buy there, and there obviously will be, I'm sure. We'll probably be trying to pick from what we're going to do, but I'm just wanting to clarify that, right? Those are one-time expenses for this cycle.
Yeah, there may be some ongoing for minor equipment they use, but there are vehicles that won't be purchased every year in that.
Yeah, but there's a 500 and some thousand, 534,000, has all that stuff in it, operations and maintenance totaling. That's ongoing. That's a budget number, obviously, so it might change, but that's what Parks and Rec has budgeted, that they think it's going to cost to maintain those new vehicles we're purchasing, the new mowers and all the things, the staples. I think there was, paper in there and whatever else, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
Matt, I have a very quick question, not a question, just a clarification. I'm looking for all over budget. The table 1, general fund is around 24 budget is 18 million, right? And the midterm projection is around 22 million. So we are increased 1.6 million, right?
Yeah, so for the general fund,
Yeah.
the adopted budget was 18.2 million. The projection is 22.9 million.
We have increased around 4.6 million.
Correct.
If we go to table number 2, general fund is expenditure is 16 million is adopted. And the midterm, all these increases around 22 million, and 5.5 million, we are is increasing the expenditure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And same thing in a total, the total budget is around, we also going to increase the expense. This 5.5 million, we going to increase the expense. And this maybe clarification with Mr. Hines, we are going to like around 1 million extra expense on the midterm projection. How we can make this? The revenue increase projection is 1 million on a general fund from 4.6 to 5.5. So there is a 1 million kind of look like to me in a report is shortfall. How we plan to be shortfall to make up?
Sure.
No, I'm looking on the table.
Yeah, he's.
So I just need to know how we, can be that 1 million, where it's can be.
Well, I can point out overall, so overall, our general fund revenue is projected to be 22.9 million,
Right.
and our expenditures are 22.3 million, so the expenditures are still below that. When we started the year, we had a much bigger projected excess revenue, so we've approved several CIP projects that are using that, so we're still coming in below our total revenue for the fiscal year.
So the bottom line is, although it may appear like there's a shortfall, there isn't. We're actually going to have roughly 500,000, 600,000 extra.
Yeah, so the general fund budget still projects a revenue surplus.
There you go.
It's just that for that year, the expenditures are increasing more than the projected revenue. But to begin the year, I think our projected revenue was over $1 million more than expenditure. So we've just added several of the one-time kind of CIP projects to get caught back up.
Thank you for the clarification.
That was going to be, I was going to mention that was going to be one of my last questions tonight, but you totally hit the nail on the head where I'm like, expenditures have, went up 32%, revenues only went up 25, so we're spending more than we're making, but I see the difference when you look at the numbers across the board and look at it as a whole. Makes sense. So thanks for asking that, Vice Mayor. And thanks for the answer, Matt.
So does the council have any general thoughts on what was proposed? Any, well, I wouldn't say additions, but any adjustments or?
Just a quick summary for me. The positions for Public Works, which are obviously CFD positions, that was one concern. Thank you for addressing the man-hour loss from the transition over there. It makes sense to me, and I give you the benefit of the doubt that that will be what you do. The positions as far as Parks and Rec, those were already brought to us. I look at it as like it's a no-excuse plan, and the last thing I want to do is say, well, I'm only going to give you 60% of what you're asking for, because then they're going to come back and say, well, you're getting complaints because you didn't give us the no-excuse plan. So I will support the no-excuse plan in hopes that we don't have any excuses. And other than that, everything else, outside of just the policy thing that I discussed, which I'll bring up at the end, I don't have any other questions. And I probably will support it as presented tonight.
Thank you, Councilman Farmer. Anybody else?
I would echo that. I think we've asked city manager and the staff to run a tight ship, and I think they've demonstrated they're doing that. In each of their areas, they're far more of an expert than I am, so I believe they've supported their requests well, and I'm inclined to support the budget as presented.
Councilman Lozano.
Yeah, I would say I appreciate all the work and all the time that the staff has spent with me, in particular, going over all of my notes and all the craziness. I think I added it up, and it was a total of like an hour and 50 minutes of one-on-one time. So, thank you, appreciate it. No, I think that the requests are reasonable. Listen, I think that if we are going to expect our staff to provide service to our community, whether it be Parks and Rec or Finance or HR or Public Works, that we need to know two things. One, what does our community expect? And secondly, give the staff the resources to do it. I have not had an exorbitant amount of experience with the city staff here where they've asked for something that was totally unreasonable and unneeded. And so I appreciate the work that you do. I'm really excited about taking some of the work off of both Amy and, well, I guess everybody really with the other positions, but certainly in the economic development area, it's going to be real important. So I would be willing to support the staff report and the resolutions as presented.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will support that. Every director request, I believe, is a reasonable request. The only thing, the same thing, every council member, we are in a customer service mode. And we want to make sure we give the service to our citizens. And that's it, and I will support this request. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to mention that I really appreciated the format. There was one mention of, maybe a sentence or two that was unfortunate, but I like the fact that each fund that was going to be adjusted was titled, description, and then move on to the next one. It made it a lot easier to correlate all that in my mind. Thank you for doing this for 2.5 hours. It's kind of tedious, but I'm glad to see it said out loud in public and clarifications in public. I think it's very important and part of our job. I really appreciate the public comments. Sometimes they bring up things that we know, but kind of just forget to mention. So with that, I would close the public hearing and
Mayor, if I can make one last quick comment before you make a motion, if that's what you were going to do next.
Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, I think on behalf of all of us, we speak the same thing. We go through this, we dive through this stuff, and we kind of pick at things and all that. But I just want to remind, all the staff, and it goes without saying, I think, that the people of this community are who, this is their money, it's not our money, it's not your money. So when you guys come with us and come to us and ask for X, Y, Z, and in a situation like tonight where it looks like, most likely, I'm assuming we're probably going to grant these budget changes, that when the community comes asking for, like the vice mayor say, we're a community service organization. So when they come asking for things, I just would like all the departments to treat those requests with the absolute importance, and we be very prompt to respond to those, because then I don't get flack for approving X, Y, Z and not getting something in return. So kind of a you scratch my back, just scenario. So I just want to state that. So thank you for all that you guys do for the people of the town. That's it.
Thank you. With that, looking for adopt a resolution approving the proposed changes to the fiscal year 2023 through 2024 midterm budget, fiscal year 2023-24 California constitutional appropriation limits, and 3 fiscal year 2022-23 through 2026-27 capital improvement plan, adopting a resolution adjusting the amount of user fees and regulatory fees for public service for the fiscal year 2023-2024 fee schedule. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. So looking for a motion to approve proposed changes to the fiscal year 2023-24 midterm budget. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Pompano, seconded by the mayor. May I have a roll call vote?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Second, can I have a motion to accept the fiscal year 2023-24 California constitutional appropriation limits and 3 fiscal year 2023 through 2026 capital improvements plan? Is that where you wanted me to stop?
My apologies, I was not clear. So one of our 2 resolutions has 3 things included within it. And so what I would like is maybe if we could just clarify, were each of your votes 5-0 for that, to include that entire title of that resolution? So the budget, the capital, and the appropriations limit. And so if that's the case, then we can move past that one. So what I would be looking for then is a motion on the second resolution, which is just to adjust the user fees and regulatory fees. Apologies if I wasn't clear.
3? No.
The separate item.
Oh, you're looking at different than mine, huh? Yeah, that's all. So just for 3? Yes. Adopt a resolution adjusting the amount of user fees and regulatory fees for public service for the fiscal year 2023-2024 fee schedule. Do I have a motion? It's moved by Councilman Lozano, seconded by the mayor. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer?
Aye.
Councilmember Lozano?
Aye.
Mayor Vandenberg?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. And with that, the heavy lifting is done. H, regular calendar,
None this evening.
comments or communications,
None this evening.
city clerk's report,
None.
comments by staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to let Chief Kalinowski give you all some good news to start this section off.
Yeah, I've been waiting here all night to tell you this. So, as you know, we have an incredible organization, and we've done a lot of work for internal succession planning. And so our HR department, who did an incredible lift, working with our consultant to do a sergeant's testing, resulted in a number of folks that I was able to interview. I expect to have more than one promotion off this list, but I'm proud to announce that Rachel Hansen has been promoted to sergeant effective on Monday. So she's worked hard, and she has been an advocate of the city and the organization, second to none. I've leaned on her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when it comes to issues involving social media and other projects that she's been involved in. So the management team met, as we do with all promotions, and for our first promotion, she was widely supported. The second piece to that, not only having a well-qualified individual, has allowed us to promote the first female sergeant in the history of the city of Galt. So that's allowed us to provide the important diversity that we need to have in the organization. We have a large number of female employees, and so I think it's important to have equal representation in your supervision ranks when you can. And so for us, it's a win-win. I will say that the folks that I talked to, and everybody on that list that I haven't talked to yet, are all valuable members of the organization. And it's my hope that over time we will be able to recognize their efforts through promotions and other things. I did tell, when I met with the staff, I said, hey, I'd like to be Oprah Winfrey and just pass one to everybody. Everyone in the audience gets one, but unfortunately that's not the way government works, and I'm restricted in that area. So I know that with the announcement of a promotion, there are some hearts that are broken, but we will continue to work with our staff, and as openings transpire, we will make those promotions, and it'll be all in our rearview mirror. But we are excited about Sergeant Hansen's promotion, and the whole command staff went up to where she lives, and we're able to give that information to her today, which is her birthday. So it was a good day all the way around for the department. So that's all I have for tonight for the police department.
All right, great. Thank you, Chief. Director Selling, anything?
But of course. Couple of things. There was a request, I think, through the State of the City presentations for a tour of the wastewater treatment plant. So it may already be out on social media, I don't know. But anyway, we've got it scheduled for 10 a.m. on Wednesday, May 31st. And so if anybody that's interested, you can email Public Works Department at publicworks@cityofgalt.org, or you can give us a call at 209-366-7260 to make your reservation for that. So the other thing that I wanted to touch on, and Councilmember Lozano called it out in our SB1 item earlier that was on the consent calendar, the city, and I think Mr. John Griffin and his engineering staff, want to give them full credit on this. They put in 3 applications to SACOG for this funding round. And 2 of our applications, it looks like, pending Thursday's SACOG board action, but tentatively, it looks like we're going to get awarded about $3 million, $2.8 million for the C Street Improvements Project, which was much needed as that project had a significant funding gap on it. And then we put in an application working with Parks and Rec for some promenade improvements, essentially extending the curb gutter, sidewalk, and maybe some other ancillary improvements down to A Street. So that was about $250,000 that we got on that. So I wanted to recognize them for that. And one other thing, we just late last week turned in an application for some additional improvements to the library as far as ADA access doors. The old ones are kind of wearing out, and there are some other lighting and stuff that will enhance, the safety and access for folks as well there. So we're hopeful to hear on that probably later this summer. And then last thing I wanted to touch on was I think mentioned in a couple of council members' reports earlier through the CAST meeting. We have a meeting with PD and myself to meet with the assistant principal for Liberty Ranch to take a look at what the issues are out there as far as the pickup drop-off and see if there's any opportunities to hopefully improve safety and just how that whole process works. So with that, I'll turn it to the next person. Thanks.
All right.
All right, good evening again. I thought I'd give you an update on how we're doing with our lifeguard recruitment. As you recall, back in January, Council approved some additional funding to pay for the lifeguard certification and the CPR certifications. And I'm really happy to report that we have more than doubled our staff over the lifeguards that we hired last year. We hired 10 new lifeguards last year. So far this year, we've hired 13. And we're in the middle of our second training session. So we might even have more people that get certified. So it's really good news. I want to thank Monica Lopez, the recreation supervisor. She's put on 2 different training courses along with Nicole Brossman. She actually reports to Craig now and his department, but she's been helping with those courses. So I wanted to pass along the good news. Thanks.
Director Boring, do you have anything else for us?
Yeah, I can just give you an update on our water shutoffs. So our social media outreach has helped. I think we had close to 500 shutoff notices that went out roughly a week ago.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of those customers come in and either make payments. I know we've set up over 200 payment plans with customers that had past due balances. So this morning we had approximately 120 accounts still on the shutoff list. And Mike shared with me we shut off 48 accounts a day and 20 of those were reactivated. So as of tonight, we only had 28 accounts that were shut off.
That's really good to hear.
Out of 500, very good.
I was worried about that.
Yeah. Our folks stepped up. That's good. All right.
And I was going to share, last week we had the Sacramento Valley Leadership Academy graduation. So our revenue and budget manager, Carlos Solario, was one of the graduates. And we had 4 graduates from Galt. I think about 10% of the whole academy was Galt. So it was a fun event.
Sweet.
Yes. Director Solis, did you have a graduate from the academy?
I did. Monica Lopez was a graduate this year. So.
Very good, very good. Director Hoffman, did you have a graduate?
I'll talk. I don't mind. You guys want me to talk?
We know how, it's tough to get you out of your shell.
I love words. I love hearing the sound of my voice, too. The Sacramento Valley Leadership Academy, it's a big deal. Last year we had 2 graduates, and this year we had 4. And although we are a smaller jurisdiction, I think we sent at least about an average that we were seeing from some of our bigger cousins around the region. I think growing leaders is one of the biggest challenges municipalities have. And I could tell you that every single city manager that was in that room was salivating, looking at all those people, all those graduates going, these are not city leaders, these are regional leaders, and they're looked at as that. And so we did have four very impressive graduates that are committed to this organization, and Zach Carver, our building official, was one of them. But it's a big deal. It's a big deal program. Last year there were 20 graduates. This year there were 37, and we anticipate next year there'll even be more.
Please tell them all of them, thank you on behalf of the council. And congratulations, obviously.
There's one other person.
Alejandro, yeah, from Public Works.
All right, very good, very good. And so I'm going to conclude staff comments with letting the council know I met with the owner of Galt Place last Thursday. They explained, I met with the owner, his number two, the regional manager, and the new manager, the residence manager. And so they explained to me that last Tuesday they had a tenants-only meeting and explained to the residents generally sort of the transition and some of the service that they've seen. They had a personnel issue that, it couldn't keep up with the demands of the job, and so they had to make some changes. And so there's a new manager in place now, and I'm hoping to see improvement in the management-tenant relations. They have done an inspection of all units and came up with a tick list of things that need to be done. I will be checking in with the ownership, and we'll be checking in with the residents that I know, just to keep an eye on things. Supervisor Hume's office is also inquiring about this, and so I'll give them a call and brief them sometime in the next day or two. But I wanted to let you know, at least there's some communication between the tenants and the management there. One of the last things I left with the management is, 'cause I'm hearing a lot of frustration about the calculations for the rent increases. And these calculations are driven by a state formula, and they're very complicated. I suggested that perhaps they come up with some way to visually explain how these rent increases are calculated. Because there's always a way to make a picture. And then call a sort of another tenants-only meeting and explain. And that, I believe, should be the last big hurdle between council concern, tenant concerns with management. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes staff comments.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Now we move on to comments by city council members and future agenda items. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the staff for giving us a detailed report. Thank you for hard working. And especially thank you for our Community Development Director, Craig Hoffman. The second thing, I thank you because he don't ask any request today about the funding. Did you give it to me? And I also like to thank you, the public comment. I'd like to thank you, whoever come to personally to this meeting. I also attend a couple events last couple of weeks. I attend the Rotary Club, Cinco de Mayo, great event. The members do a lot for this community. We really appreciate it. I also attended the presentation of Scholarship Award from Galt Chamber at the Liberty Ranch. Congratulations to Mr. Como. He will be attending college in Virginia. Thank you to the Chamber for supporting the youth of our community. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Pompano.
Just once again, thank you for all the hard work to you and your staffs for getting the budget together, and I would echo what the mayor said. I really appreciate the understandable, concise explanation of everything. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Farmer.
A few things real quick. In response to Mr. Lee's comments about 4th Street, I know when I was on the Public Safety Committee, it seemed like 1,000 years ago, we did a traffic analysis on 4th Street back, and we ended up getting some signage put up for, I think it was speed limits and stuff, but there was a lot of pushback with the council at that point, which was none of us, about doing anything with crosswalks and stuff. I would want to know if the council would support at least maybe possibly asking Mr. Hines to work with public to see maybe about doing another traffic study on 4th Street to see if there's any, because I'll be honest with you, those crosswalks are very dangerous. I know my business is down there near in that area, not down by D Street, but I can tell you I've been almost hit walking across the Velvet Grill, parking and walking. People just drive crazy like they do everywhere, but I would like to know, just as a good faith effort towards the people at Galt Place and the patrons of, Barsetti's and all the businesses that are down there that eat outside, to revisit that, take a look at the numbers again, see if there's anything we could do to make it safer within the regulations and parameters we have. So I just want to throw that out there. Secondly, thank you, Mr. Hines, for meeting with the owner of Galt Place. I was actually at that meeting on behalf of a family member that lives there, and I am optimistic that the new manager, Reza, is going to do a good job. She seems like she's a no-nonsense kind of person, and, there was a lot of discussion. I'm not going to go into any of those things, but a lot of concerns were raised, and we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt that moving forward, things are going to change there. So thank you for that, and thank you for, hopefully we'll follow up with them and make sure that they do put their money where their mouth is, so to speak, and make those changes that they promised. The next thing is, speaking of seniors, Chief, I would just want to know, and you don't have to give it to me right now, maybe off, but there were some burglaries at a lot of the care. There was a burglary at New Hope Senior Village, also at Heritage Trailer Park, apparently. Some, office got broken into, a bunch of red checks got stolen. I had a lot of seniors reaching out to me, freaked out about identity theft because their checks got stolen, whatever. Do we have any update on that case?
Yeah, and I think one site got hit twice, in fact. So let me talk to Lieutenant in charge of detectives and find out where they're on that case. I know staff was on it, using Flock and other technology to try to see if we can track any folks down. So let me see where we are on that. I can communicate that through the city manager.
All right, thank you, Chief. And then last but not least, most importantly, I want to again ask to see if there's a consensus of the council that as part of to come back, and maybe it can be part of our budget discussions, which is soon coming, but I would like part of that discussion to be a policy discussion about the commitment of a percentage of the maintenance of effort from Fund 01 to 06. And if it could be part of that discussion, it's fine, but would like to have a discussion on the policy of that.
Yeah. So Vice Mayor supports that. I support that. So, Mr. Lozano?
Yeah, I just have a comment. I support that too. I think we do need to have that discussion. I also think we need to have, and I've mentioned this before, and I think Mr. Hines has indicated that we're in the process of going down this road, but I think we need to do an updated Parks and Rec master plan. Our last time we went out to the community in a significant effort to find out what community's needs, wants, and desires were was 2010. And so, we're 13 years, a lot has changed. We have had declining revenue at the market. That's changed the way we do business in Parks and Rec. We've had COVID, which changed the way we did business in Parks and Rec. And now we're coming out of it and potentially into recession. So I would really like to get feedback from the community through a well-done master plan update so that we know what we're needing to provide. And if that means that we need to provide a level of service that we can afford with whatever percentage or no percentage of the general fund, then I think that's what we need to do. So, but how do we know what we need to spend if we don't know what we really need? So that would be my, I think that's a great idea. I think we do need to have that, but I would like to have that outreach done. So, sorry.
No, it's all right. Thank you. And I agree with that. It is time. And just lastly, I just want to say, you're probably not watching, but congratulations to Sergeant Hansen and happy birthday to her. And with that, I think that's all I have this evening. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Lozano.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Sacramento Public Library's annual summer reading program starting June 1st, and it's going through August 15th. So it's a summer reading challenge open to readers of all ages. And there's a website, and I think I think Amy put this out onto our social media. So just sign up and you can win prizes. I attended the Saturday market on the 6th. It was well attended given the weather. I know we had some vendors not come because of the weather. But Senator Nilo spent some time with us, Councilmember Papineau and I, walking it. We saw the mayor out there, and he was pretty impressed with what we're doing. Introduced him to a nonprofit organization in the area, and as a result of that, there was a donation made to one of our nonprofits of $500. So that was good. Getting people from decision makers from out of the area to know what we're doing here in Galt, I think is real important. And then lastly, I worked the Galt Sunrise Rotary Taco de Mayo fundraisers, the vice mayor and mayor there. I think it was pretty well attended. We don't have any final numbers on the type of support we got in terms of revenue generation, but it certainly will all go back into the community as it does through the Rotary program. And then lastly, congratulations to Sergeant Hanson. I'll be sure to send her a note, but I think that's awesome. I think that it's important to have people of different, in leadership of different backgrounds and other demographics, and certainly impressive to bringing on the first female sergeant in our department's history. So that's awesome. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. So I just wanted to mention that I would be willing to support the traffic study. I don't know that we actually got consensus. We did for the percentage on transfers. Is there anyone else willing to support that?
Clarification. You said that the Public Safety Committee made a recommendation previously?
So they did traffic, and going way back a little rusty, so we really pushed that. And they did traffic study, came back with some numbers, but they have metrics, right? And so the metrics didn't support, any changes to the speed limit and all that stuff. We looked at the crosswalks. The mayor at the time said, we don't want to clutter up Old Town with crosswalk signs and all kinds of stuff, and some comments that were made. So nothing was done. We did get, Mr. Clarkson was there at the time. Out of that, what resulted out of those meetings was we got some pedestrian, slow for pedestrian kind of thing at each end of 4th Street, but nothing was done to the crosswalks, no additional signage or enhancements. All I want to do is just revisit it. It's been at least 5 years to see what those numbers look like. And is there anything the Public Works could do to, because whether there's like a light pole and then there's a crosswalk. The crosswalks are not striped, as y'all probably know, you've all been down there. They're not striped. There's no signage that says it's a crosswalk. And people, when you're driving, especially at night, you don't even know that there's a crosswalk there because nothing indicates. And so I just want to act on behalf of the people. A lot of seniors live down there, and we have a lot of businesses, people traversing that street. So
Is there different standards if there's known senior housing?
No, there isn't, not for seniors. So what I would offer the council in lieu of maybe a formal traffic study is, we can do a safety review on the corridor and see if there's any signage or something like that we could do to kind of enhance safety, particularly at the crosswalks, it sounds like. But obviously, if the council wants more than that,
No, that's okay. Not to belabor the point, but if I remember correctly, one of the interesting things about the study was that if you put up a crosswalk, there's a certain awareness by the public. In order to acquire more awareness, you have to put up more than the next 2 items of safety. You have to put up like the next 3 before it actually statistically improves. And I think that's where the mayor in the past was not keen on, because you have to do the sign, the stop sign, the crosswalk, and a lighted wait sign, all those things that have to have. Anyway, if you would do the safety study, that would be fabulous.
I just remember there was like 3,000 cars a day go down that street, which was pretty staggering. I know it was a high. And I know the data that alarmed me was there was 5 cars a day average that were doing in excess of 65 or 70 miles an hour, which if you look at 3,000 and say, well, it's only 5, it doesn't nearly meet the metrics. But to think that a car going 70 miles an hour down there could swerve off and take people out at Velvet Grill so it's concerning. So I would appreciate just an assessment on behalf of those people and see if there's anything so thank you, Mike.
Okay. With that, I would also like to thank Sergeant Hansen. I went to the Taco de Mayo put on by the Rotary Club. Thank you to Councilman Lozano for his work there to help everybody see that everybody got fed. I also went to the Saturday market, even though it was reduction. I did speak to several vendors, and they actually still did okay. It looked great. I look forward to the next one. I keep thinking it's going to be sunny, but for sure this time. And with that, I'd like to end the meeting at 9:31 p.m. Thank you.